to move up?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing? I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
This is Nnamdi Asamoah. I play football for the Philadelphia Eagles, but what I do off the field with United Way might be more important. I'm a volunteer tutor and mentor. Why? Because over 1 million kids a year drop out of school, and that's not okay. It takes 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes about the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be me, or it could be you. Studies show that if we get to these kids earlier, their chances are better, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are more likely to graduate. So join me in United Way. Suit up and take the pledge. Become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, because when a child succeeds, we all succeed. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge at unitedway.org. Brought to you by United Way, the Ad Council, and the National Football League.
They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to mooch off your friends.
You gonna finish that grape?
You mean the one in my mouth?
You don't need to stop buying the necessities.
What you're smelling is a natural musk.
Ew.
You don't need to be a medical test subject.
How do you feel?
Mostly okay. Sometimes, though.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman. Let's break for lunch.
You just need an internet connection. Don't get left behind. Start your personal savings plan with the tips and tools on feedthepig.org. That way, you don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
All right, deal.
Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There's only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more. Get her ass! No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a cold New York night, at least for Speedy, not for me. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth. You can call us at 631-672-3108 is the number to call. My name is Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including The Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to tune in every single week is go to our local listings on our website and go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Speeder, what's up?
Well, I am physically kind of cold. Not terribly cold. My hands are a little cold, but luckily I have this very warm shirt on. I think you gave me this one too. Very warm, but
it does look good on you.
But yes, as Errol mentioned, I do get cold pretty easily comparatively to the average person, and Errol's the complete opposite. He was like my brother Aiden when he was younger, where he would go outside in shorts in the winter all the time, and Errol's in that same breed, I guess. He's never seems like he's cold.
Well, I have meat on me. You are just like a woman. You have no meat. You're all bones, and that's why you are the way you are. You're always, always, always cold. But that's okay. That's what all women are. When it gets cold outside, they're wearing double coats, they're wearing sweaters, they're wearing hats, they're wearing gloves, and I'm like, it's only 50 degrees.
I do have to find my Rangers beanie, though. I need to bring that back.
Brittany bought you that one.
Yes, I did. Yes, I remember that. I used it a lot last year. I do have to find it again to bring it back.
We have a great show lined up for you guys a little bit later in the show. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to former Titans and Giants All-Pro linebacker Keith Bulluck. Will be the first time on our show. At 9:30, we'll be talking to former Nets, Knicks, and Raptors point guard, Mr. Chris Childs, for the first time. I mean, I'm just kidding, the second time. He was supposed to be on last week, but he had a pipe that blew. Yes. But we're very, very happy to have him on tonight. The Big Ten could suspend Jim Harbaugh indefinitely because of their sign-stealing scandal. We will get into that first. We didn't get into it yesterday. Fox Sports' Ralph Vacchiano, right? Am I right?
Vacchiano, who was on our show last year, too.
Was it?
Yes.
Was it? Oh, I didn't even remember. Fox Sports' Ralph Vacchiano, right? Am I right there?
Vacchiano.
I'm sorry. Ralph Vacchiano says that the Giants are very likely to draft quarterback following Daniel Jones's ACL injury. The Boston Globe reports that Robert Kraft wants Mike Vrabel as the next head coach, could fire Bill Belichick during the season. MLB rumors, the latest on Gleyber Torres, Corbin Burns, and Shohei Ohtani, and more. Let's parlay at 8:15. And Week 10 NFL picks. I was 9-5, and Speedy was 7-7. And by the way, for all the fans out there, please, when we get Chris Childs on the show, he will give us his donation cash app. If you want to donate to Chris Childs and his organization, all you have to do is go to goldenchilds@gmail.com. So, yes, Ralph Vacchiano. I got it right there. He will, he said some interesting stuff, so we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. Let's get into it. CBS Sports' Dennis Dodd reports that the Big Ten has sent Michigan a notice of disciplinary actions for their sign-stealing scandal, which could lead to Jim Harbaugh being suspended. Michigan also sent documents to Big Ten claiming that Rutgers, Purdue, and Ohio State also used an in-person scout to receive offensive and defensive sign signals about Michigan. The Associated Press reports that an anonymous Big Ten employee admitting to getting detailed from other conference rivals and then creating spreadsheets of those signs. Associated Press also mentioned they have screenshots of text messages sent between staff members at Michigan and other Big Ten schools. Ohio State is number 1 in the latest college football playoff ranking, and Michigan is number 3. Michigan's last 3 regular season games are on the road against number 10, Penn State, and Maryland, and then home against Ohio State. Here's the thing. I absolutely believe that Jim Harbaugh will be heading to the NFL at the end of this college season. If he's suspended, if he's not suspended, there are going to be quite a few football teams out there that are going to give him an offer. He is making about almost $10 million right now by Michigan, really signing a new contract last year. Michigan was trying to keep him, and then this scandal came out. I do not believe that Jim Harbaugh will stay here. Here's the reason why. Michigan has not won a national championship. They're going to not win a national championship this year, even if they make the playoff, which they probably will. Ohio will make it. Georgia will make it. They will make it. And as of right now, who's the other team?
It's Florida State right now, but very easily could be Washington or Oregon. They're not far behind.
All right, let's just say Florida State, okay? And that would be a great Final Four, because I think Florida State is the 4th best team in the nation, even though there were some games that they choked in this year. But I think that if you look at the schedules for all these teams, it's fair. And if they win, they will squeeze into the Final Four. The thing is, when you look at Jim Harbaugh, if he doesn't win this year, this will be back-to-back years he doesn't win a national championship. He's been to the national championship quite a few times since he's taken over this position. And to me, he should have never left the NFL. He should have never left San Francisco. He almost took the Broncos job last year. He decided to not take the job, and I could see why. He didn't want to coach Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has his own ego and his personality disorder that he's had over the last couple of years, and that's why he's no longer with Seattle. I think the fact is Jim Harbaugh and these sign scandals, and honestly, this has been going on forever. As we all know, the Bill Belichick Patriots did it, Spygate, years and years ago. Did it help them win a Super Bowl? We will never know, because Roger Goodell decided to get rid of those tapes. And now you look at these scandals. This is not a scandal, okay? This has been going on in college football forever, okay? Now, Jim Harbaugh is the only idiot that got caught. And now you look at Michigan and the position Michigan is in, you wonder, what are they going to do if they do suspend Jim Harbaugh and they do take away their chances of winning a national championship for the next couple of years? We all know what happened to USC. It took them, 5, 6, 7 years to actually have a chance to now get their foot in the door where they can win a national championship. They haven't won a national championship since Pete Carroll, since Reggie Bush, since Matt Leinart. So you look at the position that they're in right now in Michigan, you wonder where this coaching staff and what this coaching staff was thinking when this was going on over the last couple of years. And honestly, when you look at Jim Harbaugh and his coaching and what he has done over the last couple of years, as far as him being a quarterback guru, has he really developed a quarterback over there in Michigan? That would be a no. Now, the kid that they have over here in McCarthy, who everybody thinks could squeeze in the first round, could be a late first-round draft pick, you can question where they're going to be next year when their recruiting class is not as good as it was last year. Now, if Jim Harbaugh leaves, their recruiting class will go into the portal and they will go elsewhere. And Michigan, why would you want to go to Michigan? Why would you want to play for a team that can't win a national championship? And also, you wanted to play for Jim Harbaugh. Now, all of a sudden, you sit here and you wonder where this organization, where this college program is going to be heading if Jim Harbaugh decides to go coach the Las Vegas Raiders or he decides to go elsewhere in the NFL.
Yeah, and you wonder with Michigan too, because program reputation is still going to be there, but like you said, the transfer portal is still very powerful, where that kind of thing could deter them for a while. We know what happened with Penn State after their whole scandal too. It took them a while to really build that program up again, despite their past reputation with Paterno. And obviously, this is a whole different situation altogether with Jim Harbaugh, because Jim Harbaugh right now has not been indefinitely suspended yet, or did not leave for the NFL yet, but they still have some recruits that are carried over from that. But you're right, because of the competition of recruiting in the Big Ten as it is, with Ohio State, that's always very good with that. Penn State's that's always good with that. Even Michigan State for a while was getting good recruits. They just didn't know how to put it together. And there's going to be competition now with USC and UCLA coming to the Big Ten, Washington coming to the Big Ten now. There's going to be more of that, and they're going to lose a lot because of that. As far as the scandal itself, they should address this kind of thing quickly, because this is more than just a recruiting violation thing that Harbaugh had. This is a guy, they fired the employee, thankfully, but this is a guy that used military technology and in-person scouts to steal signs from games. And there is visual proof of this now. You were talking about the spreadsheets. They actually had proof of that document being photographed, and it's been happening for the last 3 years. There were 3 different samples of games that they looked at it from that. And now Michigan is accusing Ohio State and these other teams of doing it now too, which is also very interesting.
Shouldn't they?
Yeah, because again, it might be a whole conference-wide thing. I do believe Ohio State definitely has the funding to do something like that kind of thing too. We've taken shots at Ryan Day for many things over the years too.
I think this has been going on for years, and it's not just with this conference. It could be all over college football.
Yeah.
So obviously Jim Harbaugh is trying to protect himself. He obviously believes that he is going to be suspended. He's going to hurt his college. This is a real big story. And now college football is trying to, bring in the different rules, the NIL deals now, and then always now with the portals. Now everybody's complaining about the portals, how it's ruining college football. If you look at it now, you can jump from one team to another team to another team. And if a coach decides to flee or gets fired, then you could just jump right into the portal and go to another team the next year. You could play for 4 different teams in 4 years. And I think that hurts college football. I think the NCAA needs to figure out on how these portals could work. If a coach gets fired or decides to go to another team, then they should be allowed to go into the portal and jump into the portal and leave. But and I know it's Jeff calling, and I know he has something to say about this, but he's going to have to wait.
Shot to Michigan.
He's going to have to wait for a second. But if you look at the position college football is in now, you can obviously jump from one team to another team to another team to another team. So there has to be some kind of understanding on how these portals could be worked. And I think with college football and the position college football is in now, with these players making money, as well as they should, I've always vouched for the players. I think every single player should be making money off their names. They can't pay for food. They can't pay for if they get a full scholarship, they're going to pay. The college is going to pay for their living, right, but they're not getting anything else. How are they paying for clothes? How are they paying for food outside of school? So I think it works out in a lot of ways for college football players. The problem right now is the portal. And I think that when you look at teams like Michigan and Georgia and Alabama and Florida State and Florida, all these big schools, these collegiate schools that usually get the best of the best. They get the best recruits. If that coach leaves, like Jim Harbaugh, he gets suspended and decides to flee and go to the NFL like Pete Carroll did, then they have to look at this and say, hey, you know what? They can jump from one team to another. If their coach is there and he recruited them, I don't know if it should be allowed that they could jump from one team to another if they're not going to play. I think they need to look at this and say, you get one chance to jump. You can portal. That's it in your college career. Because how many years do you play if you're going to be an NFL player? You have to play, 2 years of college football?
You have to do 3 at the minimum. But again,
okay, so 3 years.
But think about this current group because of the COVID year, too. They've had extra years of eligibility where some guys have played up to 6 years of college football now because of that.
I think it's very, very interesting. Okay, put him through.
All right, Jeff.
Fake news. Once again, fake news. You cannot play for 4 teams in 4 years. It's impossible. Impossible. The best you can do is 3 teams in 3 years, and that's if you use a graduation year.
All right, 3 teams. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't be allowed to jump from one team to another team to another.
But you can't. But you can't, though. That's the whole thing. So the 3 teams in 3 years thing is you get 1 free transfer where, like, if I am, let's just use the example. I am at Michigan And because Michigan sucks donkey dicks, I want to leave. That would be very obvious. So I would go to Georgia. I can play the next year at Georgia. And then I don't play at Georgia because I stink, because I came from Michigan. I transfer to Tennessee. Well, guess what? I have to sit out a year. You get one free transfer when you can play that year. And then if you transfer again, you have to sit out a year. The only way you can play 3 years and for 3 teams in 3 years is if I transfer the first time, and then that's my senior year, and I graduate. Well, then I've graduated, and then I can go somewhere else as a grad transfer. Grad transfer. Yep.
It's interesting, and I don't like it. I was talking to, I think, Josh's father over the weekend, and he was telling me some interesting things about how he believes that the portal changing, it has affected and it will affect college football moving forward. And the
portal has made it so much better.
I agree with you. I think that it does. It opens up so many avenues to get the chance to see some of these players play for other schools. But
imagine where college football would be if Joe Burrow got stuck at Ohio State. Imagine where college football would be if Justin Fields had to stay at Georgia.
If Joe Burrow had to stay in Ohio State, maybe he doesn't get drafted. Maybe he doesn't play in the NFL.
Maybe he doesn't get drafted. He definitely doesn't get drafted because he wouldn't have been playing, because they had JT Barrett, and then they had Haskins, and they had goddamn, there was another one in there too.
Didn't they have Martell Tate too, or Tate Martell? Didn't they have him? And before he transferred,
yeah, but he transferred back out to like UNO. Did he go to Miami first?
I think he went to Miami. Yeah, I think he went to Miami, and then you're right.
He didn't play
struggled.
at Miami either.
He struggled there, or right. He lost the job. I think then he went somewhere else.
Right,
school.
But they had a bunch. So so you wouldn't get Burrow in the NFL either.
No,
if he doesn't play at Ohio State, no one's drafting him.
No, I think it's very interesting. And I like the portal, but a lot of people that I've spoken to that are big college football fans have complained about this and think that it will affect college football for the worst. So I disagree.
The people complaining about it are old people stick in the mud doofuses like Dabo Swinney who think older people should have control over everything the younger people do. Well, guess what? It's school. And if I don't like this school, I should be able to go to another school.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things that college football should allow, and even with the NIL deals, having the opportunity to make money off your name. Johnny Manziel was doing it and obviously got caught, and everybody was making these rumors saying that his family is rich. Why did he have to do that? And it was so untrue. And that his friend, if you guys ever check that out, and I think you could, you can go on Netflix right now and look at the Johnny Manziel story. And it's a sad story, because who knows what Johnny Manziel could have been if he didn't really get wrapped up in all the crazy stuff.
His family does have money.
His family does have money. They don't own an oil supply of, I forget what it is. They owned a bunch of oil, spots and stuff like that.
Right.
That wasn't
it was
true.
Exaggerated, but
yes.
but the whole his family has no money is also a lie.
No, I would agree with you. Obviously, he went to Texas A&M too. It's a pretty expensive school to go to. So, and I don't. What happened?
It's free. You get a scholarship. It's free.
Yeah, but he didn't have a scholarship when he first got on. He didn't. If you watch he didn't get a full scholarship. He was pretty much, he got a half a scholarship, and then he walked on, and then he earned the opportunity to be the starting quarterback. So
yeah. But he's in state. That's the other thing. What's the in-state rate versus?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's different with every state, so it's very
and if they're picking up half of it, and the in-state rate is $10,000, and you only got to pay $5,000, it's not that bad.
No, I don't know what the in-state, policy is. I don't know. I don't live in Texas. So, but I do know that when you look at the college football and what college football is trying to do now, they're trying to open up opportunities for some players that don't like the team or not getting enough time on the field to move elsewhere and see where they could play for another coach, play for a Nick Saban.
So much better now. But it's so much better now. Think about all of the years that and we all know who they are. I'm not going to name them, right? But there are coaches out there that if you were on their team and he wasn't playing you and you're like, you know what, I want to leave and I want to go to this school and it happens to be in conference, they'd be like, no, I'm not allowing you to do that. Bitch, who are you to tell me where I can go and get elective education? That seems crazy. That's way too much power for someone to have that doesn't want you to play.
It's interesting. Jeff, and a lot of people are going to complain, and they're going to propose certain things in the future when obviously they're going to the new CBA, and they're going to sit down with each other, and each team are going to sit down and they're going to force different rules. I mean, now I think they're trying to make insurance. These players want insurance policies and all this other stuff.
That was discussed during the COVID year.
Yeah.
Too.
So,
but they should be getting that.
I agree with you.
Who's taking care of Eric LeGrand these days?
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. And
meanwhile, Rutgers is pulling in millions upon millions of dollars.
Off of his name, too. Off of his name, too.
It's very, I don't know how realistic, but it's very realistic that 2 Big Ten schools could get into the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's definitely realistic if one of the other Pac-12 teams loses again. Yeah, that's definitely realistic.
Right. You know, I mean, that could happen. FSU, I don't think FSU is going to lose, but if FSU lost, you could see Michigan and Ohio State both get in. Do you know what happens then to Rutgers if Michigan and Ohio State were to get in?
They get a lot more money.
Do you know how much money?
No, not exactly, but I know it's a big payout for multiple teams, especially.
No. If you're the SEC, right, and Alabama makes it in, every school in the SEC receives $5 million.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that much.
It's $5 million per team, by the way.
Wow.
Well, isn't it true that if you play in a ball game, each school gets like $20 million or something like that?
No.
What do they get with the TV deals that they have?
Little, very little.
Really? I thought they get a lot of money if they play in a bowl game. No.
No. Any bowl game? No. If I go play the San Diego County Credit Union Bowl, no, you're not getting $25 million for that. That's absurd.
Okay, so what do they get? Obviously, they're making some kind of money if they're in a bowl game,
but it would vary from bowl to bowl. That's why I'm telling you that
Speedy, look that up. Look that up. I definitely want to know.
They're not going to get much, dude. The top bowls, I'm just telling you, are $5
No,
million.
I got it. I just want to know what schools are what they're making if they play in certain bowl games.
So now think about it. Was it last year or 2 years ago, whatever, when Georgia and someone else made it in the same conference or whatever? Each school got
Georgia and Alabama. Yeah, Georgia and Alabama play in the finals.
Yeah, each school got $10 million.
And what do they do with that $10 million?
But use it forever, whatever they want. It goes to the school. This is why I'm saying Rutgers can be dog shit for the next 100 years. And as long as Ohio State and Michigan are good, and one of them gets in, they're going to get $5 million a year.
That's crazy. That's a lot of money. And they could do whatever they want with that. Now, obviously, they have state-of-the-art, stadiums and facilities.
Yeah, but that doesn't pay for that. Donors usually pay for that. That's why they usually put the donors' names on it.
So where does this money go? Why doesn't it go to the players?
The university.
Okay, and what does that do for the university? Are you sure? Is it going to the principal? Is it going to the dean of admissions?
Who knows how they're dividing it up, but it's not going to. It's usually not going to pay for facilities. That's why you see the Speedy Petey locker room and the Earl Marks gymnasium, and those jackwagons put their names on things because rich donors usually pay for those things.
So each bowl game is random, but most of them are even the smaller bowls are still 6-figure money amounts that the schools will receive combined. So it's cut that in half. I think the lowest one I saw was in the 200,000 range. So each school would get 100 something of that or whatever. However the math ends up. Some of them are unannounced each year. I'm just looking at the ones last year, and they didn't reveal it, but I think most of them, it seems like, are 6 figures. And then all the big ones, even if they're not a college football bowl game, all the significant ones are in the millions.
It's interesting. But go ahead, Jeff.
Right. They all work their way up like this. Like I said, I don't know what they call it because it was the Poinsettia Bowl. It was the San Diego County Jagoff Bowl. Like, you get almost nothing for that, right? Like, those little schools that go to that, they don't get anything. The money is where the championship is. Every school in each conference that's represented would get $5 million.
But yeah, this article also says that the college football playoff also will fund those teams too, and that adds up to that total as well.
Right, but and like for a school like Rutgers, and I was just using Rutgers as an example because they stink,
right?
And they're never going to win anything,
especially with those other new teams coming into the Big Ten.
But think about it; it affords them to keep their football program going, because think about UAB a couple of years ago. Do you know what UAB is, Earl?
University of Auburn, I guess. Is it right?
University
Yeah,
of
the right
Alabama,
state.
Birmingham.
Okay. All right.
Right. They closed their football program. They were going to shut it down, and then there was like a big riot amongst the alumni and things like that. So like Rutgers won't have to worry about paying for a plane. Like they won't have to sell themselves. You know how like Troy has to play Alabama every year and Alabama will pay them $1 million to do it? This keeps Rutgers from having to play Georgia every year and getting stomped out.
Troy did that with LSU at their homecoming game in 2017, and they beat them.
Right, but you know, like terrible schools like Rutgers, like they would need to sell themselves if they weren't getting that kind of money.
Right.
Because you still have to fund the travel and the catering and like that kind of stuff for all of those people. Like it's not just, you know, it's probably a couple of planes that bring all of these people. You got equipment and staff and boosters and I don't know, probably 90 or 100 players on each team.
Yeah, and staff members that like to do shady things and cheat.
Right. So it's probably a couple of planes. How much is it to charter 2 747s every week?
Yeah.
Oh, it's expensive, but these schools have the money. You're talking about some of the best programs in the country.
Right. Listen to what you just said. These programs have the money. Where do you think they're getting the money? When Alabama wins and Vanderbilt wants to fly somewhere, they're using the money that Alabama got them.
Yep. It helped their other programs because their football team's not going to go anywhere.
They also have an alumni, and these alumni guys have a lot of money.
Those alumni are paying for facilities. Like I said, they'll put their Jagoff name on, you know, Spencer Whittington III, you know, and put it on some gym or some building.
Arrow would never go to any gym named after Spencer Rattler. That's we know.
That's damn sure.
Right, but that's basically how the system works. The alumni are going to pay for facility. Like that's why jerk off oil guy, the Boone Pickens, he all those billions. He built Oklahoma State Stadium.
You know, getting back to this whole Jim Harbaugh thing, I believe he
sucks.
I know you don't like him, but he's not staying with Michigan. As this story starts to grow legs, and it's growing legs, he is probably going to be suspended. You know, the school's going to be suspended for playing any national championship and national championship games. They'll probably not be able to play for 5 to 6 years, and that's why
that should be the punishment.
I know, but that's what the NCAA is going to do. They've done this many times. They did this with USC.
I don't think that they should. I think they should let him play. I think it's far more embarrassing only scoring 7 points in every semifinal game for now until the end of time, watching running backs throw better passes than your own quarterback and have it be 50-7 every time.
That's also not fair to Washington and Oregon or any other team that would be just short of the playoff if Michigan is.
And those schools don't matter because they'll get the crap beaten out of them.
And we all know where Jim Harbaugh is going. We all know where he's going.
You've watched college football. Who's winning the national championship this year?
Yeah, Georgia.
Still Georgia.
I don't know. We got to see what happens with Brock Bowers.
That's true, but again, the other teams right now that are in that mix, Michigan's distracted and maybe should get suspended. Ohio State, I think, is a big fraud at number one. I don't think they're that good at
terrible.
all. Yeah,
they're terrible.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Georgia and Ohio State in the championship.
The team that is the biggest threat to win it all is also the team that's getting boned right now.
What's that?
Washington.
I knew you were going to say that.
I think they're the second best team. Well, they're losing right now. Is that it?
They're fifth. They're fifth.
I think it meant like they were getting destroyed in the game. I'm like, okay.
No, he's talking about.
I know. I love Washington. I think they're fantastic too.
Right, but they're getting shafted right now because think about it, right? Like Michigan is 3 and Ohio State's 1. So what happens now if Michigan beats Ohio State? They were 1 and they lost to a 3. Are they going to get knocked out of the top 4? Probably not, because there's all the bias from the chancellors and the deans and the presidents that sit on the college football playoff committee, and they'll probably bone Washington.
Well, the Big Ten is going to get Washington next year, so that would not be a good first impression if that's the case.
Right, but this year they could get 2 teams in.
Okay, they very realistically could. No, I know that. I'm just saying that would be a bad first impression to leave if you're going to do that to a team that's eventually going to come into your conference and is undefeated and not cheating.
Right, but too bad. It is what it is. You've already committed. Where are they going to go? Nowhere.
Okay, I'm not saying that they're going to beat Georgia if they played. I'm just saying that they deserve it. If they stay undefeated, they deserve it more than a one-loss Ohio State that's pretty fraudulent as it is, and a one-loss cheating Michigan.
Well,
Hold on 1 second. I know everybody wants to throw Michigan under the bus because they've been caught, but there are other schools that obviously, and Michigan has come out and said they've seen Purdue do it, they've seen Ohio State do it, they've seen Rutgers do it. I'm sure there's a bunch. Yes, but
I definitely believe Ohio State could do it.
I'm also believing that there are other teams out there. How many colleges out there? How many Division I schools are out there that are doing this sign stealing?
Right,
this isn't
hold on.
from the end of time. I mean, this has been going on forever.
Right, but don't fall for the rope-a-dope here, right? Because here's what's happening. Who's putting out the information that, Rutgers did it with Ohio State and Purdue? Who's putting that information out? Michigan. And why are they doing that? Because there's a billion trillion pictures of that Connor idiot on everyone's sidelines, every place in the country.
And now there's pictures of that spreadsheet, too.
Right, and those were from independent people. Don't believe the stuff Michigan, the smokescreen Michigan, because this is what Michigan people try to do. Every last one of these Michigan dogs will be, but they were doing it too. Nah, bro, you got caught. Go sit in the corner.
Okay, so they got caught, and now they're coming out and throwing other teams under the bus. So because the other teams didn't get caught, they shouldn't be in trouble too?
First of all, you need proof to get anybody.
All right, I'm just saying.
You're a jagoff. Should you be arrested for that? Well, just because say so.
With you, who knows?
But that's what you're doing. But that's the slander that you're out here doing. This is the 2 DUIs all over again. You're just throwing things out there, thinking they're fact, and they're not. Just because Michigan says something doesn't mean.
Well, hold on 1 second, Jeff.
You have proof of it.
Hold on 1 second, Jeff. And we all know this has been going on, not just in football. It's been going on in basketball. We've seen that before. We've heard this before.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Well, and that's what's going on in college football. So because Jim Harbaugh got caught, and now Michigan might be fined and he might be suspended and they might lose their eligibility. So, I mean, why shouldn't the other teams get caught? Why shouldn't the NCAA actually look into Purdue and Ohio State and Rutgers?
Right. I have no problems punishing those schools if they get caught. The problem is,
how are they going to get caught? They have to look into it.
Right. Mm-hmm. But there's no evidence of it. There's no proof. It's just Michigan saying, I think that they did that.
And there's still a month and a half before the college football playoff, so they can investigate it.
It doesn't matter. They're going to allow Michigan to play in those playoffs. They're absolutely going to let them. They're a big school. They're a very popular school. There's no way in hell they're going to suspend Michigan to playing in that Final Four, especially if they're part of that Final Four. So I don't believe it. But if they win,
there could be a bunch of people that could get suspended along with it. Allegedly,
100%.
It's not true.
100%.
But there's been a bunch of allegations that Connor Stallions dude was doing business with Blake Corum. If that's true, he shouldn't play.
Mm-hmm, definitely not.
And here's another question. Let's say Michigan wins a national championship. And
1-0. How you doing, Bruins?
Let's say Michigan wins the national championship. What does the NCAA do with that? Are they going to take that championship away? That's a good question because they did it to USC.
Right, but no. But there's precedent for that afterwards. Go back to the Cam Newton year when Auburn won. And they were like, okay, Auburn won, but we're going to take that back from you if we found out Cam had been cheating. And then they didn't, and they let Auburn keep the trophy. So, yeah, they could take that away from them.
Then what's the point of letting them play? That's the thing. And I know college football and the NCAA wants to see the Wolverines in this Final Four. But again, they're a very popular team. As a matter of fact, they sell more memorabilia in the offseason than any team in college football. Even more than Alabama. Even more than Alabama. No, they sell more than Alabama. So you look at that. That's why they have a big following. As we all know, Carl is one of those guys. He follows his Wolverines.
He seems so nice, too. It's hard to believe he's a member of Chode University.
It's also the other issue, too, is because the college football playoff like you're saying, Jeff, they have a bunch of representatives from many conferences. It's different from the Big Ten, and it's also different from the NCAA altogether. Like, there's going to be so many different, like, conflicting things. Like, the NCAA could just say, all right, in the aftermath, we'll take it away, but we'll let you guys play anyway, and that'll look even worse, too, if they do end up letting them in, if they do end up getting caught, too, and maybe if they don't even suspend Harbaugh, too. There's no definite thing they're suspending him. They're just bringing it up right now because maybe they're still investigating into that.
Speedy, you can find out who's going to be in the Final Four right now if you were to just pull up the list of people that are on the college football playoff committee. Just count.
Yes, I know. You said it's majority. It's like people. Majority of all the Power 5 conferences. I know. It's the reason that Cincinnati had a tough time getting in. They got in, like you said, UCF.
Right, because they made a mistake early on in the process, and they ranked Cincinnati number 2 preseason. Right? It's how they were able to keep out UCF, because UCF, I think preseason was like 15 or 16 or wherever they were, and they just kept winning, so they had to keep moving them up. But once you have someone in the top 4 and they never lose, you can't drop them out. So that's where they made the mistake, because they were assuming Cincinnati would just lose one and then we could just throw them in the gutter next to the beef.
Or throw Notre Dame in with their one loss or their one loss or 2 losses that they had that year that everyone wanted to put them in over Cincinnati anyway.
Right. That's why you don't see Tulane. Like, Tulane kept winning games last year. Kept winning games. And that's why Tulane never got above 24.
And right now they've only lost once and they're still at like 20, but they're probably not going to get above that.
Right, because they can't do it. They can't afford it, because Cincinnati is the one that blew up their plan, because they took so much crap for not putting UCF in that they were like, oh, we'll give this team a chance, thinking they were going to lose, and they didn't.
But again, it's still unfair to those other teams if Michigan, and if Ohio State does get caught too, if Ohio State gets roped in, maybe Michigan was onto something, then both of them still get in with.
I think everybody's trying to find a way to cheat. I mean, like you were saying, Jeff. They are. If you're not cheating, you're not winning. And that's what everybody has said over the years. They're always trying to find a way to get an advantage. And in college football, college sports, you're right.
But the rules are the rules, and they're more important now than ever before. With the NIL and the money that's in it for the players and things like that, it's more important now to stick schools with harsh punishments than ever before.
Yeah,
because they need guardrails.
But they punish people like Reggie Bush, who can't even now. Obviously, they have nothing to do with the USC situation. But they're punishing him. They took a Heisman Trophy away from him, where he earned that Heisman Trophy. What was that?
Sorry, at the time that was the rule.
Jeff, thank you for calling, bud.
He broke the rules, did he not? Did Reggie Bush not break the rules?
No, he did. But okay, now they changed the rules. He's been away from football, college football, for a very, very long time. I think it's time to actually look past that. And the USC is not looking past that. The NCAA hasn't looked past it. And to me, it wasn't him that accepted that money. It was his mother. So what does that have anything to do with him?
But it's all the same. It's all the same. It's all one thing. If she's receiving a benefit because of something he does, that's what it is.
Okay, and what happens if he knew nothing about it?
Still doesn't matter. The rules are the rules. They're there. They're in place.
Jeff,
you can have some innocent victims. That can happen, I guess. But I mean, how would you be if he didn't know about it? And he knew about it, by the way. But if he didn't know about it, then why would they be giving him his mom that money?
Well, first of all, he knew about it after the fact. He did not know about it when it was given to and offered to her and his father. Okay.
Right. The problem with what you're saying is that you would believe that a school gave someone money without a guarantee that he was going to go to school there. Do you like if he had chosen UCLA, he had gone across town and chose UCLA, right? Any other school, is USC still giving him that money? No. So he would have had to have known about it.
No. He knew about it after the fact, because listen, his parents.
I don't believe that either. I don't believe that either. That's going to be a lie too, because they're not giving. First of all, you don't have a poor mother, and then all of a sudden she has a brand new $1 million condo out of nowhere, and you're like, I don't know where it came from.
Maybe she won the lottery.
Right. Again, that's a terrible excuse, and you know it. Right, you're making up these terrible excuses though.
Maybe she won a scratch off win for
they
life.
They bought her a condo or whatever it was, a townhouse or whatever. And you're not like, do you think it's a little like he didn't? That's such a bullshit lie that you're believing, because it's like, oh, you're moving into school. Guess what? Mom's moving into this new condo. I know I bagged groceries down at the Piggly Wiggly, but I done come up.
Jeff, thank you for calling, man.
Unbelievable.
When he does call this show, it is funny. It is. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. He made some quality points too, by the way.
Yes.
College football is his thing. I will say that about Jeff. He knows a lot about college football and the rules. I didn't know that you only have 3 jumps from a portal, and there are rules to jumping a portal. So I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I knew there was a restriction on the second jump. I didn't know it was stopping at 3, though.
I had no idea what the restrictions were when it comes to jumping one portal to the next portal to the next portal. It's very interesting. It really is. Fox Sports Ralph Vacchiano reports that because Daniel Jones' ACL injury, the Giants are very likely to draft a quarterback if they have a top 4 pick in 2024 NFL draft. He also mentioned that all of Daniel Jones' guaranteed $81 million will be paid after next season, and the Giants paying him $36 million guaranteed next season will still be affordable. The Giants can get out of the contract after 2024 with a dead cap hit of $22.2 million. If the Giants don't opt out of the contract, they would try to trade him. However, he has cap hits of $41 and $58 million in the final 2 years of his contract. Jones has played in just 6 games this season after missing 3 games with a neck injury and now tearing his ACL. The Giants are currently picking 4th in the NFL draft with the Cardinals and Bears ahead of them. Here's the thing. We were talking about this yesterday, and I will sink my fangs into this for all you Giant fans. No matter what happens, even if they draft at 6 or 7, they are drafting a quarterback. There is no way they're not drafting a quarterback when there's about 4 quarterbacks that everybody keeps talking about. And you have how many wide receivers? You have 2 really good wide receivers, maybe even 3. Some people believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. could be drafted at 3 or 4. Then they have the offensive lineman from Penn State.
And they have Notre Dame one. Olt is really good, too.
Yes. So I don't know if a quarterback is going to be traded, going to be drafted at 1, 2, and 3, or even 4. I do believe the first 2 picks will be quarterbacks, unless you have a team like the Bears who have the Carolina Panthers pick where they go 1 and 2. So they're not going to draft 2 quarterbacks.
Or Arizona sticks with Kyler Murray for whatever reason.
Yes, I don't think they're going to.
I don't think so either, but again, it's always a wild card.
There'll be teams interested in Kyler Murray in the offseason. There are quite a few teams looking for a starting quarterback. Tennessee would be one of them that will be very interested in Kyler Murray if he becomes available. And you might not have to give up a first-round draft pick.
You definitely won't know what the amount he's getting paid.
Well, but you never know. If he shows up and he actually plays well for the rest of the season, that could be different.
Sure.
And you could definitely look at him as a player that you can bring on your team and actually give up a first-round draft pick for him. So I do believe that the Giants will be drafting a quarterback, no matter where they draft from 1 to 7. The thing is, where the Giants are at right now and the position the Giants are in right now with Tommy DeVito as their number 1 guy, you would honestly believe that the Giants are going to do everything they can to blow every single game for the rest of the season. They blew the one against the Jets. I don't think it was a coincidence, okay? Now, I'm not saying Gano actually tried to miss that field goal kick. Obviously, at the end of the game, he had to get knee surgery, whatever, meniscus surgery, whatever it was. So he obviously had something wrong with his knee. Nevertheless, it felt like the Giants gave away that game. That's what it looked like. And you look at the position that the Giants are in, Dable looks like his head's going to fall off. You know, really, this team is not good. They did make a really good trade for Leonard Williams. They got a 2nd and a 5th. I think they absolutely stole a 2nd-round pick from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, it'll be a late 2nd-round pick because Seattle's going to be a playoff team, but you still got a 2nd-round draft pick for Leonard Williams. you look at the Giants in the position that they're in right now, they have nothing, okay? They have a good offensive lineman. They do. They have a good tackle. It looks like they have a good rookie center. That's what they have. Everything else on that offensive line is horrible, okay? Evan Neal will probably be gone at the end of the season. Saquon Barkley could be brought back. They could franchise him or they could extend him. I would say that they'll probably franchise him and then let him go. They'll trade him and get something back for him, maybe a third-round draft pick, because it looks like Joe Schoen wants to rebuild this team the way he likes it and the way he wants this team to be in the future. The problem is right now, Joe Schoen has been there 2 years. He hasn't drafted very, very well. And this could be a very important offseason for him, because if he doesn't bring in the right free agents and he doesn't draft right and he doesn't draft the right quarterback, he could be out looking for a new job at the end of the season.
Yeah, Joe Schoen's definitely had the first round and those earlier picks be an issue for him so far. And it's a shame because he's actually done well with some of his day 3 picks. They've gotten a lot of good defensive players later in the draft, and he's built that kind of thing well. But Evan Neal's going to be a really bad, like maybe the worst bust in Giants history at the rate he's playing right now. And you look at somebody.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, as much as I like to make fun of Eric Flowers and Eli Apple,
there's been
Evan Neal was worse.
There are other ones.
Eric Flowers actually played well his first 2 years.
But I can't talk because as a Jet fan, there's been a lot of blowouts. There's a lot of bad ones for the New York Jets. So
maybe we'll have to do a live event. And next time we do a live event at any New York event, we'll poll all the fans. Evan Neal or Zach Wilson, who's the worst bust?
Zach Wilson.
I would say so too, because Evan Neal actually run blocking wise was pretty good last year. Just pass blocking.
I mean, Zach Wilson is atrocious. Okay, he is just horrible. But we're not here. I mean, going back into this with obviously Ralph Vacchiano, a guy that's very well respected around Fox Sports and the NFL. Him coming out with this story only tells you that he has an inside source, and the inside source told him that the Giants, even with Daniel Jones possibly coming back sometime next year, he probably will miss the beginning of the season. He missed 6 games. He only played 6 games. He's going to miss the rest of the season. It usually takes for an ACL tear, especially for a quarterback, 12 to 13 months. That's what they say. Daniel Jones being more of a mobile quarterback than a throwing quarterback, it's going to take him a significant amount of time to heal. You look at the Giants right now. Is the quarterback position and bringing in a quarterback in the draft the right move for the New York Giants for rebuilding this team from top to bottom? I don't know. And they have to be absolutely right about this quarterback. Now, I mean, Jeff has been speaking about Knicks and then May, and then obviously we all know about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is going to be the predominant number 1 pick. But hey, if the Giants lose out of the season, and let's say the Bears and Arizona and Carolina start to win, the Giants could have the number 1 pick. Do the Giants draft Caleb Williams? Do they trade out of that pick and still get May if they move down and get a third, at number 3 or number 4, and they get the quarterback of their choosing, and they can get an extra first-round draft pick for that? The Giants need to start looking at that because Joe Schoen has not drafted very, very well. And I know it's early, and I know everybody says, well, he's only been there for 2 years. But if you go into another offseason and another draft and you strike out, because let's be honest, he has struck out. Go look at the drafts that he's had in the last 2 seasons. They haven't been good, and they're not very efficient when it comes to some of the positions that they were trying to fill in.
Yeah, especially on offense too. When you need to be able to grow the rest of this team too. Everyone that's good on that offense has not come from his draft picks. The receivers, especially, he's been really bad at. Like Evan Neal, like we were saying before, has been really bad. So it's vital if you're going to go this path to take a quarterback, to get a quarterback that can at least be somewhat productive in that year. Now, if it is somebody that's going to be further back in the draft, like you were saying, somebody like Penix or Bo Nix or something like that, that isn't maybe less of a sure thing. I like Penix. I'm not as high on Nix, but less of a sure thing than a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. Then you're going to have to see potentially if they could be able to develop with a pretty bad, really bad receiving core and a bad roster.
There's a lot of teams looking for a quarterback in this coming draft, and they're saying that this could be a 4 or 5 quarterback draft. But we've seen this before. If you remember the Sam Darnold draft. Everybody was saying, oh, this is going to be one of the best drafts in the next for the next 10 years when it comes to draft talent, when it comes to quarterbacks, with the Sam Darnolds, the Josh Rosens, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, and we all know what happened. Josh Allen looked like he was going to be a star. He hasn't looked good this year. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he's fallen off a little bit. I still think he's an elite quarterback. I do. I know everybody keeps saying that he looks like a bust ever since, obviously, Dable left and went to the Giants. I disagree. I think that he's shown enough talent that he's still an efficient quarterback, and he's still a very good quarterback. The thing is, Lamar Jackson's been the best one in that draft, and he was the final pick in the first round in that draft. So, and that was the last pick and the last draft of Ozzie Newsome.
Right.
So,
and you look at the quarterback's depth this year, like you're saying, I think there's a scenario where the Giants definitely could have their eye on somebody else that isn't in that group either. And I think that's what this report from Vacchiano is indicating, that the Giants are going to look at all options. Joe Schoen did attend the Washington USC game that happened recently with Penix and obviously Caleb Williams. And don't be surprised if he starts to go with 10 more too, because there is enough depth in this draft where they could do that. And the Giants need more than just a quarterback. Whatever quarterback does come in is going to be stuck in a really bad situation.
The Giants need a lot of things.
Right.
They need to fill in that offensive line. Like I said, they only have 2 pieces to build on. They need 3 other pieces. Now, if they do it in free agency, they could do that. And how about the wide receiving position? Now,
that's even worse.
We've been talking about Harrison Jr. He could be a guy that could absolutely fit and could be plugged in as the number 1 guy. But are you willing to give up that pick if you're drafting at 4, you're drafting at 3, when you can land your future quarterback? I don't know if the Giants should do that. Now, you look at the position that the Giants will be in. If they're at number 2 and number 3, if I were the Giants, I would trade out of that pick. You could still probably get a quarterback in the top 10. You move down a couple of spots, you still get a quality quarterback, and then you build on that. You can get another first-round draft pick or maybe 2 second-round draft picks of the future. The Giants need to rebuild. They're an older team. They're not a young team. They're an older team. And if you look at the roster and the way the position of this roster moving forward, they have one corner that could be the future number 1 guy. He could be a number 2 guy in Banks, who they drafted this year, who fell to them, and a lot of people liked it. And he played very well against the Jets. But that's not saying
he's played
much.
well the last couple games.
But that's not saying much, because we don't know what he is, and we don't know what this defense is capable of being. And then how about Thibodeau? Is Thibodeau the real deal? Now, he played well against the Jets this year, but everybody else, he's looked like crap.
He's been flashy at certain points, but he's too inconsistent.
Like crap.
He's too inconsistent.
He's looked like crap.
And I think one of our guests was even mentioning too, like his run defense, when the Giants have allowed the most rushing yards, and mostly to his side too, which has not been ideal.
When he came into the league, did you think he was going to be this bad?
No,
because he hasn't been good. Everybody was comparing his skills to some of the best, talented defensive ends that have come out in the last couple of years. I mean, he had his own earphones made for him before he even stepped on the field.
Mm-hmm. And again, you also look at the Giants now having all this young talent on defense, but like you said, they still haven't gotten in a lot of key areas too. And that's going to make it hard for them to try to build the offense up at the same time too, when the Giants roster is still so far behind. So yeah, trading back is definitely a good option for the Giants. And it's obvious that they're going to look at a quarterback now too.
There's no question they're going to look at a quarterback. And Dable, he's one of those guys. And everybody keeps saying, well, look at his sacks this year. Now, I want to go back to Thibodeau, because right now he has 8.5 sacks. But he has 8.5 sacks. He had 3.5 sacks against the New York Jets. Mm-hmm. New York Jets. And the other 4.5 sacks that he had were two of the games that he had 1.5 sacks in the other one and 2 sacks in the other.
And he had 2 against Washington. Yeah. So terrible
offensive lines. So. And I've said this about J.J. Watt over the years. I think J.J. Watt was a good defensive end. He's no way the type of player that he is. His brother is. I mean, his brother's fantastic.
Right.
But if you look at J.J. Watt's numbers against really bad offensive lines, he's averaged 3 and 4. Sometimes I think in one game he had 4.5 sacks. Mm-hmm. And then there were games against good offensive lines he couldn't get one.
Yeah, I think the only good offensive line he's played well against so far has been the Bills. Because even Seattle, even though he only played well in that game, they had some tackles out in that game as well. So I don't know if you can really count that one either. The Bills they play well against.
But right now Thibodeau has 8.5 sacks in 7-8 games into it. That's a lot for a pass rusher. But again, it's really blown up because of what he did against the Jets. Mm-hmm. So, and that was an offensive line that was in a shambles. They had 2 different centers in the game, and then they played a 3rd string center that came from the practice squad. Nobody even heard of the guy's name when he stepped on the field. So I understand everybody likes Thibodeau, and all the Giant fans, they're like infatuated with the guy. He really hasn't been good, not for where he was drafted. So I do believe Joe Schoen is going to look in this year's draft and try to find the right pieces to rebuild. Is a quarterback the right piece to rebuild with? Is there a quarterback in this draft that he loves so much, if you're drafting in the top 5, that you're going to scoop him up and say that this guy is the quarterback of the future? And then if you draft him, do you start him next year, or do you let Daniel Jones play out the season?
Right. And the decision also will have to come with how they're going to manage this wide receiver position too, because I talked about it with Jared Goff. Jared Goff, when he came into the league, the Rams at that time might have had the worst receivers in football when Jeff Fisher was still there. They had Todd Gurley, but they had a bad offensive line and no wide receivers to help out their passing game. Then Sean McVay comes in, they make some trades, and he has a good receiving core, and Jared Goff looks good. So you wonder if the Giants could go through that kind of transformation where they try to go all in on that and then work with everything else later. Because I think they have enough on defense where they don't have to use as much draft stock in it right now. Yes, their edges are still bad. Their corner depth could be a little better, but the middle of the field defense is actually pretty good for the Giants this year at linebacker and safety, which it never usually is. And the offense is so bad. And with Darren Waller hurt, it's really alleviated it more, where they don't have anything to help out if Saquon or Darren Waller gets hurt too. And Saquon, like you said, I think he's going to be gone as well too. He's been toyed with too much with this front office. It's clear that Joe Shane doesn't want him, and it looks like they're going to move on. So use that money. Use what you would have had to pay him, and maybe Darren Waller, if he ends up, he's probably going to opt in, but if they end up getting rid of him too, to go get a wide receiver.
Speedy. All right. You keep dragging this along. We all know, the Giant fans already know, Darren Waller's not going to be here. Saquon Barkley's not going to be here. They're going to rebuild. So stop spitting it out and dragging this along. We know what the team is. We know where they're going. We obviously know they're going after a quarterback. We all know Kayvon Thibodeau is not as good as everybody says, because if you look at his numbers from Sunday, he had no sacks. It's the week before that against the Jets, he had 3. Then the week before against Washington, he had 1.5, and then 0 against Buffalo and 1 against Miami. So the guy he's not efficient. He's not an efficient pass rusher. And the Giants need to look elsewhere, not just at the quarterback. They need to look at offensive line help. They need to look defensively. I think they need to fill in that linebacker position. They do have one good linebacker in the bunch of them. I think the Giants need to start rebuilding. And to me, Joe Shane needs to put the Giants next year with Dable and Shane. They need to win at least 9 or 10 games. They're in a very bad conference. They're in a division that, yes, it's run by the Eagles, and the Eagles are going to be good for many, many years to come. But the Cowboys, there's a lot of ifs with the Cowboys. They have to overpay Dak Prescott next year. He's going to make $60 million no matter what, and they have to pay him that money. And they can't drop him because he's still going to be a part of that cap. So right now, the Giants have has an opportunity right now to jump Washington. Washington decided to pass up on their 2 pass rushers and trade them away at the trade deadline in Sweat and Young. They're elsewhere now. So they're rebuilding too. And now you're probably going to fire Ron Rivera. That's probably what's going to happen. Bieniemy either takes the job, or I think Bieniemy will get another job somewhere else, and especially what Sam Howell is doing right now. If you look at Sam Howell's numbers right now, how many quarterbacks have better numbers than Sam Howell? It's crazy to say.
He's actually the fantasy QB3, like the last 4 weeks or something like that.
It's crazy. His numbers are ridiculous, and that has a lot to do with Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy blew up Patrick Mahomes' numbers. Go look at Pat Mahomes' numbers when Bieniemy was there. Go look at him. I mean, he was MVP candidate almost every single year. He had his first 5,000-yard season with Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. It's not a coincidence. And if you look at Sam Howell is having one of those years. Sam Howell right now is a top 5 quarterback. As far as numbers are concerned, they're not winning. Washington is not a good team. But if you look at his numbers, yards per catch, touchdowns, he's had a really good season. Sam Howell looks like he could be the future quarterback of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, and you also look at the new ownership too. That's probably going to be more aggressive with that too. Now we've seen these new ownerships be reckless too, like with the Broncos, with the Raiders, obviously. But still, you have a case of Washington already has good talent in other areas. Now they traded the 2 pass rushers, like you said, and with Ron Rivera gone, you see if they can rebuild that defense. But they have some offensive pieces. The Giants have nowhere close to that with the offensive pieces. And in today's NFL, you really need to start that kind of thing right away. You mentioned T. Higgins as a possibility if he becomes a free agent. The Giants need a wide receiver badly, whether it's him, whether it's Judy, anyone in that draft, Ayuk if he becomes available. They need something to start with, because odds are they're not going to keep Saquon Barkley, and that offensive line is really bad. What's the best way to alleviate a bad offensive line? a scheme that gets guys open quickly, which Dable showed to have at certain points, but they need the talent.
I also think when you look at the fact that where the Giants are in position and really their schedule next year, their schedule is going to be a lot easier than it was this year. Everybody knew that the Giants schedule was going to be absorbed and very hard for the team moving forward. And they had to play the AFC East and there's a lot of power teams that they have to go through this year. And the Giants, the organization as a whole, didn't expect to be that good this year. I know what they did last year. I know how far they went. They knocked off Minnesota in the playoffs and then really got beaten up by the Eagles. But nevertheless, the Giants went somewhere where nobody thought they were going to be last year. Now you look at the Giants in the position that they're in. If Joe Schoen has a good offseason, they're going to have a lot of money to spend. I think they're going to have about close to $55-60 million. They have to do it right. They have to rebuild that offensive line. There are a couple of veterans that could be available where you could squeeze in if you decide not to go an offensive lineman. And then they're going to have to decide if they don't bring Saquon Barkley back, if they should draft a running back in the second round next year, because there are a couple of good running backs that are probably going to fall to the second round, maybe not as talented as Saquon Barkley, and maybe you bring in a veteran running back to fill in that spot until your rookie running back figures things out.
Right. You're going to have to get good value with a lot of those players, too, because running backs, like we know, don't get a lot of money. Interior offensive linemen don't get a lot of money. They have to find those because the Giants tried that thing when Joe Schoen first came in. They brought in some guards that did not work out at all. One of them goes to the 49ers. The other one is still on the roster and he stinks. And the running backs, the backup running backs, have not been good either when Saquon's been hurt. Everyone loved Matt Breida at the time with the 49ers. He's been nothing. And Eric Gray's been a fumble machine. So they definitely have to find something and get depth somewhere because the Giants are not going to get it with one player overnight.
The Boston Globe's Ben Volin says that Robert Kraft's home run hire would be Mike Vrabel if they decide to part ways with Bill Belichick. He also added that it wouldn't be a surprise or a surprise to him if Belichick is coaching for his job in Week 10 against the Colts in Germany. NFL Network's Albert Breer said that Robert Kraft's son, Jonathan, is reportedly pushing for the Patriots to move on from Bill Belichick. The Patriots would also look to try to get back a former general manager, Nick Cassaro, who is now the Texans front office part of the Texans front office personnel. Both Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel recently signed big extensions with their teams. Belichick is the largest in the NFL, and Vrabel is the 10th largest. Vrabel has a 51-39 record in 5.5 seasons with as the coach of the Titans. 2-3 in the playoffs with the Tennessee Titans. Bill Belichick got his 300th career win in 2 weeks ago versus the Bills, and is 29 wins away from surpassing Don Shula as the winningest coach in NFL history. I will say this. It makes a lot of sense. I do believe Mike Vrabel could be the next head coach for the New England Patriots. I do believe Bill Belichick will not retire. I think there'll be teams lining up for Bill Belichick. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants will be one of them. And if the Giants decide to, and the Giants could decide, you know what, let's fire Joe Schoen. Let's bring in Bill Belichick as our GM moving forward. They could decide to do that. Bill Belichick came out and said that the Giants are one organization that he would go work for no matter what. He really grew up as a coach, as a defensive coordinator when he was under Bill Parcells with the New York Giants. Now, he did coach the Browns and he wasn't successful there, but when he left the Giants and went to the Browns, then went back to New York and helped out Bill Parcells with the New York Jets and decided to flee and go coach obviously the New England Patriots and win all those Super Bowls with Tom Brady and drafted Tom Brady. So you look at this story, I don't think this is a surprise. I think obviously the Kraft family can't stand Bill Belichick. We've heard this over the last couple of years. The only reason why they couldn't fire Bill Belichick is because the fans would take their heads off. But now that you're going into a season where they're under 500, they're going to be under 500 for the rest of the season. This is probably the worst season and coaching season for Bill Belichick. They think that Bill Belichick is old and he he doesn't fit with this team and this organization anymore. So now they can go after a guy like Mike Vrabel, who could be available if he does get fired at the end of the season, or they decide to give up a pick. They're not going to have to give up a first-round draft pick. They could give up a second or a third-round pick and get Mike Vrabel over there. So I understand that they want somebody younger and they want, obviously, new blood in that locker room. But to fire a guy that needs 29 wins to knock off Don Shula. Would you want to see, if you're a Patriot fan or if you're Robert Kraft, do you want to see Bill Belichick go to another organization, another team, and coach that organization for 2 years and break that record on another team? I wouldn't. So I don't understand this. I understand that Robert Kraft's son has more of a say than Robert Kraft does, and he's probably going to hand the reins to his son in the future, as we all know with Jerry Jones and his family over there. But to me, you don't fire a guy that needs only 29 wins to break a record.
Yeah, Stephen Jones, if he didn't do the things he's done for the Cowboys, who knows where the Cowboys would be, because Jerry Jones wanted to draft all these other flashy players or these other players with off-field issues. But yeah, you look at the power that is now being construed with his son now, too, wanting this kind of thing. It seems inevitable that he is going to be gone at some point, whether it is this season or at the end of the season. And you're right, he might even just take a GM job and try to work it from there.
No, he wants to break that record. So he will take a coaching job. You know what he's going to do? He's going to go to a team that's going to offer him the GM position after he breaks that record. He wants to break that record. What does he need? 2.5 years?
It's probably going to be like 3 seasons at least. If that's an average of 8 wins a season, it depends on what team he goes to, but yeah, it would probably be 3
There
seasons.
will be teams lining up for him. They will fire their coach, even with a winning record going into the offseason. They will fire their coach just to bring Bill Belichick in. This is the winningest coach, one of the greatest coaches in professional sports history. And he's won how many Super Bowls? 6. He's won more Super Bowls than most NFL teams.
Right.
2 NFL teams, maybe even 3. So there is no reason why I believe Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots should decide to part ways with Bill Belichick. But again, we all know the Kraft family, and we know how cocky they are, and we know how invincible they think they are, aka Robert Kraft, who likes to get himself jerked off or something, whatever he likes to do.
Yeah, he likes to hang out at the massage parlors with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, well, Robert Kraft likes to play with himself. I have no idea. Good for him. I mean, like I said, Deshaun Watson and him should be best buddies.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, if I was Robert Kraft, I would have just made the trade, brought Deshaun Watson, and he could give Deshaun Watson his nice little happy ending.
Yeah, that'll
you know, I mean, seriously, they both like it. I mean, one hand scratches the other.
That'll take up their whole salary cap.
One ball sack scratches the other ball sack.
Oh yeah,
maybe they can rub it together.
Yeah, that'll be their that'll be their quote unquote good time if that ends up happening. But yeah, Robert Kraft is definitely going to inflict his ego on this kind of thing too, because he's one of those old school owners. We were talking about it with college football with Jeff, and these older guys want to still have that kind of power, and sometimes it just doesn't work. It gets to a point where it doesn't work, and we've seen teams evolve from that in the modern game, and the Lions have done it very well. The Bengals have done it very well, but there's other teams like the Raiders that continue to be dysfunctional because their old ownership has to get into that. Now, the Patriots, I don't know if it's gotten to that level yet, but they're 2-7 this season, and I do believe that Robert Kraft wants this kind of big change. We know Mike Vrabel works very well with the players.
Honestly, even if they bring in Mike Vrabel, okay, the AFC East is going to be good for many, many years. Buffalo is very well built. They have a bunch of good young players. Miami is really good. They have a bunch of good young players. The Jets have a bunch of good young players. They just need to figure out what their quarterback is. I mean, we all know Zach Wilson could, be somebody's sausage friend. I mean, seriously, he should be selling hot dogs in MetLife Stadium. He shouldn't be the quarterback. I mean, he could be throwing hot dogs to fans. I mean, but as far as footballs, he doesn't fit there. But nevertheless, they have Aaron Rodgers there. The Jets could draft a quarterback in this year's draft. Or, hey, you know what? They go elsewhere. When you look at the Patriots, what do they have? What do they have? They have no wide receivers, which they haven't been very good at drafting. Thank you, Bill Belichick. That's been one of his bad points, is not finding a wide receiver. That is one. Number 2, they're running backs. Now, Stevenson has been very, very good. Last year was really good. This year, he hasn't been so good. They bring in Zeke Elliott. He hasn't really worked out. And the offensive line has played better in the last 2 weeks, but they're not good either. They need a rebuild too. I think the Patriots are time for a rebuild. Now, maybe that's the reason why they decide to part ways with Bill Belichick. But when you see a coach that has been so dominant in the NFL, especially in the AFC East, one of the hardest divisions in football, for years, and they dominated it. I mean, Miami hasn't been really good over the years, and neither have the Jets, but they're starting to build their teams and their organizations, and they actually have the right people running it, except Robert Saleh, of course. But nevertheless, and by the way, Steve Weich is so wrong about Robert Saleh. When he comes on the show, maybe 6-7 months down the road, and we get back into arguing about who should be coach of the year, I'm going to say, Steve, I have something to play for you. And I'm going to play that part where he said that Robert Saleh should be up for coach of the year, because everything that I've seen ever since he said that has been absolute doggy doo-doo. All right. Garbage. All right. And he can't control what's going on that roster, especially at the quarterback position. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Bill Belichick. If Bill Belichick gets let go in the offseason, or he gets fired in week 10 if he loses against the Colts in Germany, I think it's a big mistake for the Patriots, because there'll be teams. There'll be a ton of teams lining up for him. I don't know who needs a coach next year. Cleveland could decide, the Chargers could be, he could go to the Chargers and change that organization 1, 2, 3. I mean,
100%.
Their defense is really, really good. Their defense isn't really, really good. I mean, it's one of the worst, but they have good players on that defense. All they need is the right scheme. I think Bill Belichick can draw up a scheme that would make those defensive players play a lot better. Their offense, they have Justin Herbert. He hasn't had a quarterback that good since Tom Brady. And they have a lot of good weapons over there. So I could see absolutely Bill Belichick going over there. But there are other teams that will be interested. Washington's another one. The Commanders. We did hear, 2 weeks ago, that the Commanders are going to make a run at him if he becomes available. So they could give him partial ownership. Mr. Harris could say, you know what, we'll give you partial ownership. We'll give you the GM position. You can run this organization. You can take over the coaching job until you break that record. And then after that, you can run the organization moving forward. And I could see Bill Belichick doing that.
Yeah, I could definitely see it with Washington too, because Washington is a team that needs a culture shift too. And Bill Belichick is that perfect guy to be a stabilizer in that. And the Chargers, when you look at them, they have all the talent. I don't know if they necessarily need a team culture shift. I don't think that's the problem with Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley is just a in-game, not good coach. But nevertheless, you talk about the Browns too. It's definitely interesting. Stefanski's been on the hot seat for a while. They're playing well this year, but it's mostly because of their defense. So yeah, that's definitely an option too.
Well, he did coach the Browns a while ago, and he does like that organization, and ownership loves him. So I could see him going to the Browns too. Going back to the Browns, taking over there. They have a quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Hey, look, he's not going to be hanging out with Robert Kraft anymore. He might as well hang out with Deshaun. Yeah, and they can hang out and go have happy endings somewhere else.
Yeah, and there's forever. There's definitely going to be teams that are going to take it in, even if they don't have a quarterback too, because we've seen what the Patriots did last year when Mac Jones was still playing horrible too. They were still almost a playoff team with Mac Jones playing abysmal. Now, granted, some of that was Joe Judge and Matt Patricia running that offense, but you look at these teams that don't have quarterbacks that are still staying afloat, even in the NFC too. There's definitely any of those teams that could go after them. The Falcons, if they get rid of Smith, or the Saints with Dennis Allen, like those aren't coaches that you're going to say, all right, we'll leave them instead of bringing the opportunity to bring in Bill Belichick. Like, there's going to be teams out there. Tampa, if Todd Bowles, we know Todd Bowles is not a good coach, and they had a hot start to the season. Now they've lost 4 in a row. So maybe maybe Bill Belichick takes the same pass as Tom Brady. He goes to Tampa. Who knows? But you're right. There's going to be a lot of teams.
He's not going to Tampa. He's not. Baker Mayfield's there. He doesn't want to coach Baker Mayfield. He could have brought Baker Mayfield with the Patriots many, many times. He was available. There's no way he's going to Tampa. It makes a lot of sense. Washington, Sam Howell looks like he's something. He could be something that he could build with. And Washington right now is probably still going to get a pretty high draft pick. Right. So they could land a top 10 pick, and they could draft a quarterback if they don't think Sam Howell's the guy. And also, again, I think what makes a lot of sense for Bill Belichick is going to the Chargers. You're right. I think the Chargers are the perfect fit for Bill Belichick, because he can win a championship with that Chargers team. Oh, yeah. They have a quarterback. They have an offense. They have wide receivers. They have an offensive line. And the way he runs his scheme, and his scheme would fit Justin Herbert absolutely. And as a matter of fact, Justin Herbert actually can move inside and out of the pocket, unlike somebody who played there for many, many years and tore his ACL. So I do believe that it makes a lot of sense why Bill Belichick could go to the Chargers. It would absolutely be a great fit for them. And I could see the Chargers ownership giving him partial ownership over there as well. So Bill Belichick will have his selection on where he wants to go. He will still coach because he wants that record. He came out. I saw the Bill and Bill thing that ESPN did, and even the Nick and Bill documentary that they did on HBO. And he said that his goal was to knock off Don Shula and have the winningest coaching record in NFL history. That's the only record he needs to become really the greatest football coach of all time.
As far as Mike Vrabel go with the Patriots, though, I do worry about it a little. As much as I like him as a coach, I think he's a good coach. But like you said, the Patriots and the Titans don't have a lot of the same development things. They both don't develop wide receivers very well. The Titans are horrible. They're just as bad as the Patriots. And the Titans have all these defensive players, but not a lot of offensive players besides Derrick Henry. And that's the same kind of thing with the Patriots. So as much as Mike Vrabel might help that defense, like the offense is still very far behind. Like you said, Ramondre Stevenson's been good at certain points, but that's really it. You have some good tight ends and not much else to build on. That's a lot of what the Titans have this year too. So I don't know how much of an overnight fix that necessarily could be.
MLB.com's report that a recent poll of 14 executives show that 10 of them believe he will sign with the Dodgers. Who? And that's the question. That is Shohei Ohtani. The Rangers also reportedly have been recently favorites for Ohtani, and the Padres could pursue him if the trade for Juan Soto actually happens. The Athletic reports that the Brewers are open to trading practically everybody after losing Craig Counsell. The White Sox have said starting pitching Dylan Cease is available in trade. He has had 200 strikeouts each of the 3 seasons. Phillies mentioned that Nick how do you pronounce this? Castellanos is available in a trade, and also Hoskins will not be coming back after this season's ending injury. The Yankees have expressed interest in Cardinals outfielder Alec Burleson and utility player Brendan Donovan. Multiple reports say that the Yankees and the Red Sox could be interested in trading for Gleyber. What is this? Multiple reports say that the Yankees and Red Sox could be interested in a Gleyber Torres trade with Alex Verdugo potentially going to the Yankees. I don't understand that. I can't see, and I'll report this. I can't see the Yankees and the Red Sox making a trade like that. I can't. I cannot. What I will say about this story and with the New York Yankees, the Yankees are going to be in on everybody. They're going to be in on everyone. Juan Soto, they're definitely going to be in on. I absolutely believe that. I think Juan Soto will be traded to the Yankees sometime this year. They're going to be in on Yamamoto. They're going to be in on some relief pitchers. If Hader doesn't go to the Mets, which I believe that's where he's heading, but if Hader doesn't go to the Mets, I think he'll be a Yankee. I could see the Yankees going after Hoskins because he's a first baseman. You can move him at first base because they haven't had a first baseman that good in a very long time. And everybody keeps saying Rizzo, but Rizzo, he hasn't hit for the Yankees since he's been there. He's a good defensive Gold Glove player. And I'm not saying Hoskins is a better Gold Glove. I'm not saying Hoskins is a better defensive player than Rizzo, but all around, I would take Hoskins over him any day.
And you look at Hoskins, too. He has that power that is definitely helpful in Yankee Stadium as well. You're right. Definitely not the defender. He's a horrible defender. And now he's coming off an Achilles injury to go along with that. But the Yankees are going to need power in other sources, too, because Hoskins is also somebody that might not get a lot of money because he's off the ACL injury. And the Yankees need all the bargains they can get with all the other big contracts that they have. As far as the Gleyber Torres thing, yeah, I can't see Brian Cashman trying to trade with the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox just brought in a new GM, and maybe he's saying, all right, we're going to force our hand in the division. I just don't kind of see that kind of thing happening with Cashman. Now, if Cashman is gone at the end of this year, and like you were saying, maybe they bring in somebody like Kim Ng or somebody like that. Maybe that's more progressive thinking, but still not now.
There are going to be a lot of rumors. And obviously with the GM's meeting and then the winter meetings, everybody's going to speak. And usually you don't hear anything until the end of the holidays. You usually hear after Christmas, things start to go down. Right. Trades start to go down. Obviously, free agency goes. One guy goes somewhere, and it's going to be Ohtani. Ohtani's going to go first, or Juan Soto will be traded at the end of winter meetings. Mm-hmm. He'll go to the Yankees, and then you're going to see everything start to break down. There are quite a few players that are going to be available, very good players going into this offseason. Is it going to change organizations? Is it going to help? Like, for the instance, if the Yankees add Juan Soto and Yamamoto, does that make them a championship team? The answer is no. Does it make them a better team? A much better team. Right. But it's not going to make them a championship team. But if you see teams like the Astros, if the Astros make a move for a Juan Soto, does that make them a championship team? Absolutely does, because they're built right now to win. They have the outfield, they have the defense, and they have the pitching. So yeah, there are teams that could absolutely profit on this. You look at Philadelphia right now, when you look at Castellanos and you look at Hoskins, these are guys. Castellanos is making a lot of money. Right. He did play well in the playoffs in the second half. Really, the last 2 weeks of the season, he was really, really hot. But as the playoffs move further, and even in the NLCS, he did not play well. And I think the Philadelphia Phillies are going to move elsewhere to try to trade him and try to bring in another free agent that will fit this team. I also believe you bring in Turner last year, you have Bryce Harper. These guys are making tons of money. They're making, just those two players, you're paying them almost $500 million. Mm-hmm. So are they willing to, if they decide to trade a Castellanos, do they make a trade for Juan Soto and bring in a $400 million player? Now, Philadelphia, one of their owners, their owner is very rich. All the owners are very, very rich. And I could see Philadelphia. They sell out all their games. They have a very good following. I could see it. I could also see Mike Trout being traded to Philadelphia too. He grew up over there. He's a Philadelphia Phillies fan. He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan. That's where he's from. He grew up in New Jersey, but right next to Philadelphia. I could see Mike Trout. And the Angels, if they bring in, who did they bring in? Washington.
Ron Washington. Yeah.
Ron Washington. I think they're going to start to trade away pieces. I think the Angels are going to rebuild with Ron Washington. He's very good with younger players. You saw what he did with Texas and the Rangers when he was there, taking him to back-to-back World Series. I do believe that Mike Trout could be available, and why not trade him to the team that he grew up loving?
Yeah, and again, you look at the Phillies trying to get rid of all these other offensive players too. I definitely could see big swing coming for them. I mentioned Juan Soto when Juan Soto was saying, he wants to play on the East Coast. I mentioned the sleeper being the Phillies, and Dave Dombrowski loves to spend money, as you could see with the Tigers at the end of his career, with the Red Sox, and obviously with the Phillies now, spending all the money that he has with Schwarber and Harper, etc., and Wheeler and all those guys. And you look at the Phillies making that next championship step. They need a guy that's been great in the playoffs too. Juan Soto fits that bill. Castellanos was great for them, like you were saying, but he wasn't so good in the regular season. But I definitely see big swing coming in for them. Now they need more pitching. Aaron Nola's going to be gone. I know they were interested in Sonny Gray too. I don't like him either. He's very inconsistent, but you wonder if that kind of thing is going to be on the back burner. And that's the only approach that worries me. But I definitely see a big swing coming with this Phillies team with their pattern.
I also think when you sit back and you're trying to figure out who's going to win this offseason, there could be teams that you wouldn't expect that could win the offseason this year. I do believe the Astros will make some quality moves to make their team better. They didn't win the World Series this year. They didn't even get into the World Series. So they obviously believe that they're one step out of really making it to the promised land again. So I do believe there are other teams that could make a big splash. Whoever gets Juan Soto is probably the dominoes will drop when Juan Soto gets traded. He is going to be traded this offseason. I absolutely believe it. The Padres cannot afford to keep him. And I don't understand this. Why would the Padres borrowed $50 million in September to pay off all their salaries? Why would they get rid of one contract to bring in another $500 million?
An even bigger one. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And Ohtani is not going to be 100% healthy. You're talking, and they might move Manny Machado this offseason too. There are stories that Manny Machado doesn't really like it over there with San Diego. He loves the city, but he doesn't like the team over there. Right. And he could be going elsewhere as well. I could see the Padres just absolutely selling pieces off. Just like
about Tatis last week too.
Just like we've heard other teams might be interested in trading away pieces like the Brewers. The Brewers have Burns. He's a great pitcher. He's a guy that I believe the Mets will go after. Mm-hmm. They need pitching. If they don't seal a deal with Yamamoto, Burns could be a great piece that they can add to that roster and that pitching staff. He could be the number one guy, and Senga could be the number two guy. Now, if I know Steve Cohen, I could see them getting Burns and Yamamoto and really solidifying that pitching staff for the years to come, because you can't trust that the Braves aren't going to figure out how to sign Fried in the offseason. He is going to arbitration. He will be a free agent next year, but I could see the Braves figuring out and negotiating something before the season's end and keeping Fried, because they do not want Fried to go to the New York Mets where you have to see Fried 6-7 times a year.
Also, the Braves have also been great with backup plans for losing the players. lose their catcher in Contreras. He goes to the Brewers. They get traded him. What do they do next? They get Sean Murphy, and Sean Murphy has a great year for them. What do they do after they get rid of Freddie Freeman? He goes to the Dodgers. They trade for Matt Olson. So the Braves always have a backup plan, and the Mets have to be ready.
The Mets definitely have to be ready. But I think the Mets will spend a lot of money. You heard David Stern say they're not rebuilding. We did hear Steve Cohen come out and say in the middle of the season when Billy Epler went up there and said that it's going to take at least another year for them to win. But now you have David Stearns that went up there. Epler's no longer with the organization. And Steve Cohen didn't even speak at that press conference. He let David Stern speak for everything. He said that we're not rebuilding. We're going to do everything we can to build this team into a championship contending team. So I do believe the Mets will be all in on everybody. Mike Trout, Juan Soto, even Ohtani. They'll be in on Yamamoto and Burns and everybody. They struck out on Craig Counsell, but hey, did they really struck out on Craig Counsell? He's the highest paid manager in Major League history. What has he won? He didn't win anything with the Brewers. And as an executive over there with the Brewers, what did he do? The Brewers never won anything. They never won a championship. So what does it matter where Craig Counsell went? He goes to the Cubs. And by the way, the Brewers have to see him every single year. The Mets have to see him, what, 4 times a year?
Right.
5 times a year?
If even, like the way the schedule is now where you play every team, it's even less.
I think the Mets got it right with their manager, by the way.
Yeah,
I
and
absolutely believe
also, I think the Cubs, a new report said they paid him double what any team would have offered them too. So yeah, it's crazy to think. But yeah, the Mets are not one player away by any means, and they're definitely not one manager away. But you can't just say Uncle Steve is going to go say, all right, we're not going to spend to contend in 2024. There's definitely be some big move, because I'm encouraged with Corbin Burns. Obviously, is the big piece. We were talking about it with Tim Ryder when we had him on the show. Like that should be their number one target. But Dylan Cease is also somebody from the White Sox that is a very good strikeout guy too. So and they're not going to have to trade as much for him because he had a bad year. That's definitely another option too if they can't get Corbin Burns, and like you said, maybe Yamamoto too will be in the running as well. But those are some names to definitely look at, because the Mets need all the young pitching they can get.
When we come back, we will have our betting parlay. Yes, we're going to have Let's Parlay. It looks like it's just Chaz
It
tonight.
looks that way. Derek could not make it, unfortunately.
When we come back here on the Sports Loudmouth.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Sports Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to check out all the local listings of our shows is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. It doesn't look like we're going to have Derek or Wes or any of those guys. No Johnny, Reno Johnny, but we do have Chaz. What's up, Chaz?
Well, I don't know. Did anybody else go 4-0 last week or what?
I could see that you did because you want to brag about it.
Well, you know what? If you ain't going to call your shots, dude. No reason enjoying it going over the fence.
I'm sorry?
I said, if you're not going to call your shots, there's no reason enjoying it going over the fence, you know?
There you go. And then Paulo hit on a lot of them, too.
Paulo had a loser today.
Oh, no.
No, I mean, it's amazing. He had a loser today. He had like 20 in a row. I had 29 tickets in a row yesterday. 29 bets in a row. It was pretty sick.
I gotta start betting on his picks, man. I definitely do.
Yeah.
He's really racking in the money for you, Chaz. I mean, you're going to
No, those were not just his bets. Those were my bets too.
All right. So what? I'm giving.
Here's the problem with Paulo's bets is they're all minus 500, minus 300. There was one today was minus 155. It was the lowest we've seen. Sports bettors can't handle those numbers. It blows their mind because there's no way you can make money at that number. You got to win like 90% to make money at that number. Well, guess what? He wins at 95%.
So there you go. At least you're winning some kind of money.
Yeah.
So there you go. So obviously I didn't make any picks. I thought there were going to be at least 2 guys on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some football picks. While you make your picks, I'll go through my football picks, even though we're going to be doing that after the show, after our guests. So I'll let you go first, and then I'll go through some of the NFL and make my picks.
Yeah, so I had I'm going to go stay with the NFL. I got a lot of college games, but I'm going to stay with the NFL only because I'm on a 7-1 run. So it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. I'm looking at these games, and the first game I got to was the Green Bay Pittsburgh game. So I got to the Green Bay Pittsburgh game. Where's that game? All right, so allow 10 or less, score 10 or less, under 7 or 8, score under 4 or 4, score 0. Green Bay hasn't scored a point in the last 3 first quarters. I'm taking the under in the Green Bay at Pittsburgh game. That's my first bet.
All right, my first pick of the week. They're all going to be NFL because I didn't do any of this. I wasn't ready to do this, but because I thought we were going to have at least 2 or 3 guys. So I'm going to go San Francisco and the Jaguars this week, 1:00 Fox. It's going to be a great game. Obviously, San Francisco heading over there to Jacksonville. Purdue will be playing in the game. I think it's going to be an explosive game. I think the Jaguars will keep it very, very close. Right now, San Francisco is dealing with a couple of injuries, but I like very much San Francisco in this game. I think they're going to put up points against this Jacksonville defense. The Jacksonville defense has played very well this year. I think the fact that they're at home, it will be close. But I think Jacksonville will pull out. San Francisco will pull out a win in this game. So bet San Francisco on the money line.
All right. So then what did I do? I got to the next game. Oh, the next game is the Cleveland-Baltimore game. I don't have that game, but I got to tell you a great story. So I'm on Bovada, and I'm doing all these crazy bets, and I'm winning all this money last week. So I'm just freaking clicking. I'm clicking. So I got a 6-teamer with a round robin with 4s and 5s, and it looks like I'm a winner, right? And they don't pay me. And then I realize I didn't bet the first half of Cleveland last week when they dominated. Who they played? Atlanta, maybe? Was it Atlanta?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, they did.
I bet Cleveland next week against Baltimore.
Oh.
So I'm on that game whether I want to be or not. So then I went to Houston, Cincinnati, and I'm staying with Cincinnati. I bet them against San Francisco. I bet them every time. I'm just going to keep betting them. I think they're the best team.
All right. 1:00 on Fox. The 5-3 Browns at the Baltimore Ravens 7-2. I think this is going to be a shocker. I really do. I think the Browns are going to go into Baltimore this week, and they're going to surprise everybody. Deshaun Watson will be in this game, and the Browns have really not played well offensively, but defensively, they're the best in football. They could get at you. Myles Garrett is going to put pressure on Lamar Jackson. I think they're going to be able to make Lamar Jackson one-dimensional. They're going to make him stand in the pocket and make throws, and that's something that throws Lamar Jackson for a loop. I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to throw more than 2 touchdowns in this game. I don't think he has a running touchdown in this game. I don't even think he runs more than 50 yards in this game. I really think that this Browns defense is going to keep them very, very close. And so I'm going to go with the Browns on the over.
Yeah, I hope the Browns win. That'd be great for me because I have them on a parlay. So the next bet, what's the next game? Detroit Chargers, I skipped that one. Atlanta, Arizona, I skipped that one. The Giants, I went to the Giants, Dallas. They played earlier. It was 40-0. They're giving 20, right? I think I got to win by 20. I think they're going to win by 20. I mean, Dallas, I bet against Dallas, right, with Philly because they're on the road. Dallas at home is a better team than they are on the road, I think. So I got Dallas.
All right. I've got the Lions and the Chargers this week at 4:05 on CBS Sports. I will say this. The Lions have been as good as any team in football. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. Jared Goff is one of the MVP candidates to me this year. They've done everything defensively. They've played as good as any young defenses. Their offensive line is the best in football. You can argue. They're heading over there to the LA Chargers. The Chargers really just snuck by the New York Jets. And even though it was 27-6, Justin Herbert did not have one of his best games. As a matter of fact, he had his worst statistical game in his career. And now you have the Lions. I think they're young. They're explosive. St. Brown will have a touchdown in this game. I think they'll be able to run the ball in this game as well. I think they're so explosive, this young Lions team. So give me the Lions on the money line.
All right, so my last play, we had a situation last week where they fired the coach for Vegas, right? And then Vegas just took off and dominated that game. But we had the under. That was one of the best bets, and it didn't look good, and then it snuck in at the end. They just stopped scoring, and we got a winner. I'm coming right back with the under and the Jets, Vegas, right? They played the Giants. Now they're playing the Jets.
Yep.
I like the under. However, let me interject one thing, Errol.
Okay.
I watched that Charger game because it was the last game of my 4-teamer, and I won a lot of money on it. But I will tell you, that Jets defense is really good. They really are.
Fantastic. One of the best defenses in the league. They're ranked 6th. By the end of the season, they'll be in the top 3, but it won't matter because I have Zach Wilson, so it won't matter. Anyways, my final pick, and I'm looking at the team. You know, I want people to win. I don't want them to lose, and I want to pick a surprise here. I'm going to go with the Commanders and Seahawks at 4:25 p.m. on Fox Sports. The Commanders, Sam Howell. If you're a betting man, bet Sam Howell to throw 300 yards against the Seattle secondary. I don't think it's a very good secondary. So I think the Commanders will absolutely throw 300 yards in this game. But the Seattle Seahawks, they're great at home. They have the 12th man. And a lot of people believe that this team could be a Super Bowl contender. There's a lot of questions about this defense, especially in the secondary. Jamal Adams, he's in, he's out of this lineup. I don't expect this secondary to be very good moving forward this season. Their schedule gets even harder after the Commanders. But give me the Seattle Seahawks on the over. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Let's Parlay. And Chaz, thank you for giving us the time. We went through pretty quick.
There's just one. It's a little slower. There's no doubt about it. So
no question. But you gave us some winners, and I'm sure.
Well, I'm hoping I gave you winners. You never know until they play the games. That's kind of.
Judge Rader seems like a pretty guaranteed under, unless there's like 3 pick sixes.
I'm just going to let everybody know that I definitely believe the Browns are going to win this week. So
that would be great.
I know everybody looks at the Ravens. They're very good at home. They're very hard to beat at home. Lamar Jackson's only lost 4 games in his career in Baltimore. Expect this game to be a loss. The Browns are going to make them one-dimensional, and they're going to make Lamar Jackson throw the ball. And if they throw the ball, the Browns secondary is really, really good. Mm-hmm. So I expect a pick 6 in this game, or even a pick or 2 in this game. Lamar Jackson's going to be very frustrated, and it's going to be a field goal game. And if it goes to the field goals, obviously the best kicker in all of football, even though he hasn't had much of a chance all season long. I know because he's on my fantasy team. But I think the Browns, they're going to be able to put up 7s instead of 3s. So I think the Browns will win this game. So,
you know what? The keeping him without his legs, taking his legs away from him, whatever you got to do to take his legs from him, he's never going to beat you in the pocket. It's not going to happen.
Nope. And I think the Browns are going to be quite capable of doing that. As a matter of fact, I think they will absolutely shut down the run game and obviously Gus Edwards, who played very well last week. I don't think he's going to be able to run against this defense. This defense is the best defense in football. It's proven to be the best defense in football. Even though the offense there's a lot of questions to the offense, and Deshaun Watson is a shell of himself. You don't really need a great Deshaun Watson to win a game like this. This is going to be what is the over under on this? I picked the over on this, right?
You picked the Browns on the over, yes.
What
is 38.5.
I picked them on the over. Absolutely.
Yeah, so the other aspect of this division, there's a lot of great divisions that have rivalries, but these teams consistently, since we've been on the air for 10 years now, the games are 3-point games almost all the time, it seems like.
I don't think this is going to be a 3-point game. I think the Browns are going to crush the Ravens in this game. Everybody thinks the Ravens are Super Bowl contenders, and you're hearing so many stories about like Lamar Jackson looks the best he's ever looked. I expect them to go into this game where everybody thinks that this is going to be an explosive game for the Ravens, being that they're home and they're going to be in front of the crowd. The crowd hates the Browns.
What week is this of the NFL season?
This
10.
is 10. Yeah.
Well, isn't this normally the week that Lamar Jackson gets hurt? It seems like he always gets hurt right about this time.
I don't know if he's going to get hurt in this game, but I think the Browns are going to put so much pressure on him where he's going to make mistakes in the pocket. Yeah. And I think that the Browns running game is still very good. Kareem Hunt's look really, really good. Jerome's look really, really good. Jerome Ford. So I expect him to run the ball very, very well. They're going to control the line of scrimmage. And I think Deshaun Watson has one of his better games of the season. That's not saying.
Well, I'm telling you, I would make me really happy because when I saw that I screwed up and I got Cleveland next week and I saw they were playing Baltimore because it just said Cleveland. It didn't say, and I should have caught it, but I was clicking I was clicking on my website, on the sports betting website, like my finger was on fire.
This is a big game for the Browns because the Ravens are 7-2 and they're 5-3. They just came off. I think they just came off their bye week. If I'm not mistaken.
The Ravens did not have their bye week yet.
No,
the Browns.
The Browns last week shut out somebody.
So
Arizona.
So was it a week before that?
Yeah,
so there was a week before that. So they don't have any more buys. They're obviously playing Baltimore this week. This is a big game for them because if they can win, they give Baltimore their third loss, and then all they need is another win, and they could tie the division. Everybody thought that.
Yeah, you know what they're doing, guys. Just so you know, they're just making it easier for Cincinnati to win that division. I'm telling you right now. That's what's going to happen.
I said before the season started that this is the best division in football.
Yeah.
If you look at Pittsburgh, you look at the Bengals, you look at the Ravens, you look at the Browns, all of them are going to be over 500 this year. I absolutely believe, and I think 3 out of the 4 teams are making.
Well, with Pittsburgh, I mean, it's pretty right. How many years has he gone now that he's been over 500?
Every year, except for like 2 years, he was 8-8. That was
They have a chance to go 6-3 too. I mean, you're talking about the Bengals could be 6-3. They could be 6-3. The Browns could be 6-3, and the Ravens could be 7-3. I mean, this is a division that's going to come down to the end. Now, I think that the Ravens are the best team in the division? I do. I do. I think they're the best all-around team in the division. But that's not saying much because we've said this many, many years, and the Ravens come up short. So if Lamar Jackson could stay healthy, he needs to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think they make a run this year. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl if they make a run. So anyways.
Yeah, guys, always be cashing, huh?
Chaz, a.k.a. Mr. Betting Man himself, Chazimoto.
Yep. Holding it down solo on Let's Parlay for this week.
I didn't expect to make the picks.
I don't blame you. Derek thought he might have been able to come, and he said he was at a dinner, so he wasn't sure. And,
it's fine. I didn't expect to make the picks, but my picks are solid. I absolutely have the Browns. I should have just picked them all on the money line, but I have the Browns, the 49ers. So if you want to pick the money line, I wanted to go different, not all money line, but the Browns definitely on the money line, 49ers on the money line. What else? The Lions on the money line and Seattle on the money line. If you go with all 4 of them, you should be 3-1. Absolutely, maybe 4-0.
Chaz needs some variety. He can't have all the money line picks there anyway.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to go money line with all of them, you'll probably either go 3-1 or 4-0. I'm going the over on that Cleveland game because I think it'll be more scoring than people think, but I still think Cleveland's defense is going to shut down the Ravens in this game. The Ravens are probably put up a 16 spot or something like that, and I could see the Browns scoring 24, something like that. That's where I think the game will be, and I think the Browns will win the game. And again, this is the best division in football. There's no question that it is. So. Again, it's going to be a fun weekend as always, where our first guest will be on at 9:00. We'll have Keith Bulluck joining us. But why don't we do our picks? We'll start our picks. We might not be able to get it done before Keith Bulluck comes on, but let's go through it.
All right. So this ugly game that's tonight, the Carolina Panthers, and
which
the
I can't get it on television for some reason.
Well, I don't blame you. They're going to watch that ugly, atrocious potential game. 37.5 the over/under. I took the Bears originally. I'm going to stick with that. DJ Moore revenge game against the Panthers. I'll say Chicago on the under.
I'm going to go with Chicago. Chicago's played very well with the young quarterback. I think their defense, one of the better run defensive teams in the league. They're not a good pass rushing defensive team, but they're a very good run stopping defensive team. And I think DJ Moore has a very good game. I have him on my fantasy team. He better. So give me the Bears on the money line.
All right, the game that is allegedly potentially the last game for Bill Belichick in New England, according to some. The Colts and the Patriots playing in Germany, 43.5 the over-under. I don't think the Bill Belichick will get fired at this game, but I am going to take the Colts in this game, though, because the Colts have actually been very well coached this year. Their defense has been a lot better than expected. Like you said, the Patriots' offensive line has been really bad. Jonathan Taylor, the last time they played against the Patriots, ran all over them, too. I think he has a big game as well. Give me the Colts on the under.
I'm going with the Patriots. Everything that we've heard over the last couple of days, and now you're hearing that he could be fired at the end of the game. I think the players are going to go in there. They love Bill. I'm sure they know, and they read the newspaper, and you hear stories all over social media. I have the Patriots winning this game. I think it'll be very, very close. And the Colts, I don't know what they have at the quarterback position. They don't have Richardson. I think they'll be able to contain the Colts offense. Pittman's played pretty well this year, but he disappears in certain games. I think the Patriots are the better team. Give me the Patriots on the money line.
All right, I was thinking I was going to be the one that picks this Browns-Ravens game as the Browns, but I'm agreeing with your bet. I'm going to take the Browns here against the Ravens. Like you said, that defense, very tough in that interior. I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for Gus Edwards in this game. And those corners, I think Zay Flowers has been down in recent weeks, too. Denzel Ward on him is going to be a hard matchup for him, too. And I don't think the Browns are going to have the issues covering Mark Andrews the way other teams have had as well. So I'm going to take the Browns in this one. I'm right on the push of the money line, but I'll take them on the over like you.
I got the Browns. As everybody knows, I picked the Browns, and I am going to pick them. I picked them on the over with Chaz, but I'm going to pick them on the money line. I think they win this game outright. I think it'll be close all the way into the fourth quarter. As the Browns pull away, they score a touchdown and win the game.
All right, the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals, 46.5. This is going to be an interesting game because Houston definitely knows how to stretch the field. C.J. Stroud, a phenomenal game last week, maybe the best quarterback performance of anybody this season so far, and his comeback against the Buccaneers. The Bengals secondary, though, has played better, so I think you'll get a little bit of both in this game. I definitely like the over. I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. Joe Burrow's been great in the last couple of weeks. The Texans' defense has showed some leaks, but give me Cincinnati. It will be closer than expected. I think Houston covers, but give me the Bengals.
I think C.J. Stroud has a better game than Joe Burrow. I think he's the real deal. I think he's one of the best young quarterbacks we've seen come out of the draft in a very long time. Oh, Ohio State Buckeye, baby. Now, as the Buckeye quarterbacks don't really value themselves when they come into the NFL, but I value him. I think he's going to be great. I think he throws 300 yards. I think this defense is so skeptic. I don't like the Bengals defense, but I think the game will be close. The Bengals will be at home. The crowds will be loud. It might be rainy, maybe even snowy. It's going to be a cold weekend in Cincinnati. WPIX in Cincinnati. I got Cincinnati on the money line.
All righty. The San Francisco 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is 45.5. I am agreeing with you again with your money line pick with the 49ers. I think this is one of those cases where the bye week works for one team and hurts the other. Jacksonville loses a lot of momentum. They had a 6-game win streak before the bye week, and the Niners had to find themselves. They had all those offensive line issues, and now they get a week to really get things going again. They get Deebo Samuel healthy back probably, and Jacksonville has some new transitions with their offensive line as well. So I like the Niners in this game. I'm going to take them on the under.
Whoa, I've got the Niners. Everybody heard me. It really hurt my picks, but I've got the Niners. I think it'll be a close game. I think Brock Purdy will throw 3 touchdowns in the game. I think the San Francisco 49ers will be very explosive this week. Absolutely. The Jacksonville Jaguars will keep it close. Trevor Lawrence will keep it close, and I think Jacksonville's defense is going to fall apart in this game. At home, give me Cincinnati on the money line.
All right.
Give me San Francisco on the money line.
All right, the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings, it is 40.5. Josh Dobbs had a very impressive comeback last week. I don't think it happens again, though. I know the Falcons' defense has been great this year, and so is the Saints, but I think the Saints get it done here. I think this receiving depth is going to be very tough for this Minnesota secondary. I think Alvin Kamara has a big game as well, and the Vikings, I think, while they might get Justin Jefferson back next week, I still don't think they get him back this week. I think Addison on Lattimore will be a tough matchup. So give me the Saints. This will be close. I'll say on the over.
I have not been impressed with the Saints. I have not. You have to go in to Minnesota and beat Minnesota on their home turf. I think Addison's very explosive. I think Dobbs has proven himself to be a starting quarterback moving forward for this team. I think they're going to win this game. I really do. I think the Vikings will keep it close. The Saints, Kamara will have a big game. I absolutely believe it. But I think the Vikings are going to go hand in hand. I think Dobbs throws another 300 yards in this game. I think both defenses are really skeptic. I don't think the Saints defense has been that good this year. I really don't. So give me the Vikings on the money line.
All right, the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, 38.5, like Chaz was saying, the over-under. I'm definitely with Chaz. This game is definitely going under. Matt Canada is still the Steelers' offensive coordinator. As far as he's gone, then the Steelers aren't scoring more than 20 points. But Jordan Love, we've talked about him last week. He's really had troubles too. Trouble against the blitz. The Steelers love to blitz. And the Packers don't have the receiving depth to take advantage of the issues that the Steelers' secondary depth has had this year. So give me the Steelers in a close one on the under.
Yeah, I got the Steelers. I don't trust Jordan Love. I don't trust Matt LaFleur. I don't trust anything with the Packers. Their defense is up and down, up and down. Their offense is up and down, up and down. And Watkins, I want to see – I'm sorry, I keep saying Watkins. I think Watson is so explosive. I want to see Christian Watson really break out this week. But we haven't seen it yet. I hope to see it this week as he's 100% healthy going into this week. But it's going to be in Pittsburgh. It's going to be, the field is terrible out there. It is I think it's the only field now that has grass.
I think it's them and Chicago left. Yeah.
I do believe the Steelers will win this game. I think it'll be very, very close, but give me the Steelers on the money line.
All right. The Tennessee Titans at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is 39.5, the over under. This is going to be interesting because this is going to be a lower scoring game. I think Derrick Henry is actually going to have trouble in this game. Tampa's always been good at stopping the run, but so is the Titans have actually not been good at stopping the run this year, but they've been good in the secondary. So I'm going to take the Titans in this game. I do think they'll have a good game plan to shut down Mike Evans and Mike Vrabel. Everyone's hearing the rumors with the Patriots. I know the Titans are going to want to keep him too. And Will Levis has looked pretty good so far, especially with the deep ball. So give me the Titans in this one on the over.
Yeah, give me the Titans too. I think they're a much better team than the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are falling apart. I mean, Baker Mayfield hasn't looked good in the last 2 weeks. He really hasn't looked good since the first 3 games of the season. But the Buccaneers, I don't trust Todd Bowles, as we all know. I think he's just a complete bust. He's going to lose his job in the offseason. And I think Mike Vrabel is the better coach. I think to me, Will Levis is shown everybody that he could be a starting quarterback moving forward for this team and for the future. So give me Tennessee on the money line.
All right, the Atlanta Falcons at the Arizona Cardinals. It is 43.5.
Trying to find the game right now. I can't find it.
Atlanta with a bad collapse last week against the Minnesota Vikings, and it's definitely showed some leaks in their defenses. I think Arizona will keep it close in the first half. Trey McBride, their young tight end, has played very well in recent weeks. They're going to get Michael Wilson back, the young receiver that's looked very good. And Kyler Murray should be back. I don't know how well he'll play. It's a tough first matchup for him, but I do think they'll keep it close in the beginning. I just don't trust Arizona's defense. Give me the Falcons in this one by double digits. I'll say on the over.
Oh, man. I could see the Cardinals winning this game. I really could, but I'm going to go with the Falcons. They have looked not very good the last couple of weeks, okay? I don't know why they don't throw the ball to Kyle Pitts. It doesn't make any sense. I do not trust Desmond Ridder. Okay, I do not. I don't think he's the starting quarterback for the future of this team. I could see Kyler Murray heading over there next year. So you might see Kyler Murray shift over there. And Kyler Murray starts this week, and I think Kyler Murray will be explosive. I could see him throwing 250 yards, running a touchdown. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong about who he is as a quarterback, even though, and hopefully he doesn't talk in a third person. I don't want to hear it. But I have the Falcons in this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer in Arizona than you think. Give me the Falcons on the money line.
All right, the Detroit Lions at the LA Chargers. It is 48.5. Lions coming off the bye week. I think them getting healthier at the right time. I don't think David Montgomery will be back this week, but they are going to get a lot of their other injured offensive players. This Chargers defense, like you're saying, it's not they looked good against the Jets because Zach Wilson's their quarterback. I don't think they really proved a lot. Even with their pass rush, the Lions offensive line is really good, and I think it's still going to be easy for them to stretch the field. I think this is a blowout. Give me the Lions on the over.
Yeah, I got the Lions. I don't trust the Chargers. The Chargers defense has not been very good. If Bill Belichick goes there, this Charger defense is a top 10 defense in the league. I think they're explosive offensively. I do believe they'll score a little bit against the Lions defense this week, but it's not going to make much of a game. I think Jared Goff is explosive. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks this year in the league, and he's an MVP candidate. Give me the Lions on the money line.
All right, the Giants and the Cowboys. How bad could this possibly be? Could be any worse than 40-0. Maybe it could. It's 38.5. The Cowboys might get that on themselves. It's an ideal redemption week. Cowboys blow out. The Giants might even get shut out.
Oh, I love the Cowboys this week. If I'm going to bet anything, I'm betting the Cowboys this week. Are you going to trust Tommy DeVito to win a game? Not a chance in hell. Give me the Cowboys on the over.
All right.
What is the over and under?
It's 38.5, which the Cowboys might get on their own.
I'm gonna go on the over.
They scored 43 against the Rams.
Actually, I'll just take it on the money line so I win.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll take the money.
That works.
I'll take the money.
The Washington at Seattle game. I know you definitely like the over in this one. I could definitely see it as well. Seattle's defense has been suspect against the slot areas, and I think that's something that Washington has done a very good job in. We've seen Eric Bieniemy's offense do a very good job with that. So I think Washington will keep it close. Where Sam Howell has still been struggling this year has been turnovers. I think Seattle's defense will still force enough of those to win the game. But Geno Smith's been turnover prone recently as well. I like Seattle. It'll be close on the over.
Yeah, I have Seattle on the over. I'm not going to pick the money line because I think both teams are very explosive offensively. Geno Smith has been very explosive. DK Metcalf hasn't had a good week for the last couple of weeks. I expect him to have a big week this week. If you want to bet DK Metcalf with 100 yards and a touchdown in this game. I think he absolutely hits that. And I think it's Seattle on the over. The 12th man will be a big part of the reason why they win this game.
All right, a game that probably will not be on the over, the New York Jets and the Las Vegas Raiders. The battle of Zach Wilson versus Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. I don't know. Tommy,
I'm never picking the Jets again.
I'm not picking the Jets in this one either because, like I said, the Raiders' pass defense has actually been surprisingly good. Now, the run defense has been really bad, but Breece Hall is not getting the volume. As much as you can't trust the Raiders coaching staff, they are playing for Antonio Pierce a little bit more. I think he's done some good things. I agree with you. I don't think he'll end up keeping his job, but I do think the players are rallying around him. Give me the Raiders on the under.
Oh, I have the Raiders 110%. Zach Wilson starts on this team. They don't score a touchdown in this game. There has to be something to be said about the Jets offense and the fact that they didn't score one touchdown against the Chargers defense. One of the worst defenses in all of football. One of the worst passing defenses in football, and they couldn't score a touchdown against that defense. I absolutely believe the Raiders are going to win, so give me the Raiders on the money line.
All right, Monday Night Football, the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills, the now struggling Buffalo Bills, 46.5. And the Broncos defense has actually played better in recent weeks, the 2 games against the Chiefs, and then even in between
You know what's going to happen. Miami's going to run away with that division.
Yeah, they probably are, but I do think the Bills win this game, though. I do think they're the better, more experienced primetime team. Now, Russell Wilson and Sean Payton both have good primetime experience, so I'm not saying that the Broncos are just going to lay a lousy goose egg, but I do think, like I was saying with Jacksonville, the bye week momentum will hurt them a little bit. Buffalo's kind of in that sense of urgency point now. Will it last? I don't know, but I do think they win this game at home. Josh Allen plays a lot better against this team. So give me the Buffalo Bills. I'll take them on the under.
2 of the worst games possible on prime time. You have the Jets and the Raiders and the Broncos and the Bills. The Bills aren't even that good of a team right now.
No.
They have not looked good. Josh Allen has looked like crap. But I think this will be a fun game. I think it'll be back and forth. It is in Buffalo. It is going to be very cold this weekend. On Monday, it's going to be in the 30s. The altitude will be a little bit windy. I do believe that benefits the Bills, even though the Broncos come from a very interesting altitude themselves, but it's different over there in Buffalo. Give me Buffalo. I think the Buffalo Bills, it'll be back and forth. I think this will be more offense than defense of a game. So give me the Buffalo Bills on the money line.
All right. So 2 things I wouldn't have expected to agree with you on was the Browns and the Raiders. And we ended up both agreeing with that. I always get scrutinized for picking the Browns.
I'm never picking the Jets again. I am never picking the Jets again. I don't care if they win or they lose. Okay, because as long as I see Zach Wilson under center, I don't want to watch the game. I will watch probably the first quarter if the game is out of reach or if the Raiders have a 10-0 lead or a 13-0 lead. I shut the game off. I will not sit and watch that game because I know it's going to be one of the ugliest games we'll watch going into really all season long. Could you imagine the Raiders? I think the Raiders could blow them out just like they did against the Giants. I think that the defense will keep them in the game, but I think they're going to get very, very tired, very, very quick because what the Raiders are going to do in this game and Antonio Pierce is going to do in this game is run the ball. And what have the Jets have problems doing for the last couple of weeks is stopping the run. And I think Josh Jacobs is going to have an explosive week. So if you have Josh Jacobs on your fantasy team, if you are betting on this game and you want to use Josh Jacobs as a betting piece, you can definitely bet that parlay Josh Jacobs over 100 yards in this game. because he is going to definitely have 100 yards.
That's the Derek specialty. He loves all the player props, especially with running backs too. But running backs have let him down a little bit this year, including some on his own team.
What is he saying over Fade Earl? What's that mean?
Fade, it's a betting term. Don't bet him, I guess. But
whatever.
Josh says, why does Liam Lambert look like Dracula?
Does he look like Dracula?
I've noticed it too. He's got that very Ben McAdoo slick back hair, but when the hair is gray in whatever stadiums, like sometimes have those reflections on it. I could see it.
Are they playing right now?
I could definitely see a little bit of it.
Are the Islanders playing right now?
I guess that's why Josh is referencing.
I don't see the game on the NHL center ice. I don't see it. Who are they playing?
Oh, no, they're playing the Bruins. So, battle of you and Jeff tonight. It's 2-2 right now in the third period.
Oh,
and the Bruins are on the power play.
The Bruins will win that game. I'm not going to be surprised if the Bruins win that game.
Well, you better hope it doesn't go to a shootout because we know the Islanders don't win those.
They don't win overtimes either. So.
No, they're not built for 3-on-3 overtime.
They're not built for nothing. They're built for great goaltending. Who's in the net? Sorokin? Probably. It is Sorokin because Varlamov was in the other day. So I do believe Sorokin is in the net. But
yes, it is Sorokin. He has 19 saves on 21 attempts.
Wow, they don't have that many shots. That's crazy. I mean, the
Islanders defense actually playing well. Who would have thought?
Yeah, who would have thought? We're still waiting. Yes, we're still waiting for Mr. Bulluck. He will be joining us hopefully soon. Keith was supposed to join us a couple of weeks ago. He's had obviously family situation, but
and traveling to London.
I'm sorry?
And traveling to London for the Titans game.
That's right. And then he was doing another game. Flying back from London. So,
yes.
So we're waiting for him. So this weekend is going to be very, very interesting. And like we said, we did our picks. I do believe the Bengals that game is going to be very interesting because what the Texans have done week in and week out. And I think obviously seeing what CJ Stroud has done over the last couple of weeks has been very impressive. He has been as impressive as any young quarterback we've seen in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So
it looks like we have him.
All right. So why don't we go to a quick break? When we come back, we will be talking to former Titans and Giants All-Pro linebacker Keith Bulluck here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
631-672-3108 is the number to call. You're listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth, which airs every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. All you have to do to check out our local listings is go to www.worldwidesportsradio.com. We've been trying to get this guy on the show. He's been a very, very busy man, and we finally have him on. We are now talking to ex-former Titans and Giants All-Pro linebacker Keith Bulluck. Keith, what's up, man?
Not much, man. I'm glad I was able to, we were finally able to make this happen. It's been almost like a month in the making.
Well, you look good, man. You definitely look healthy. I think you could play in the NFL still. I mean, you look like you're in shape. You look like you're in football shape. How are you doing since you retired from the NFL?
I'm doing well, physically, I got 3 daughters, so I keep the look, but yeah, I'm not trying to give anyone any downs. Yeah, and I have a couple businesses. I'm actually the general manager of my coffee shop. here in Nashville. So, life of a business owner is a little different than playing football, but it's all the same. You still got to work.
Everybody's got to work. I mean, you have to pay your bills. And listen, everybody looks at football players. Oh, they make millions and millions of dollars. But when you retire, you have 3 kids, you got a wife. They all like to spend. So what do you have to do? You got to make sure that you're making the moolah, right? Am I right?
Man. And then also like, you retire, and then I was good with my money, so it was cool. But then you get bored just sitting around. So, when the draft came here in Nashville in 2018, there was 500,000 people here. I was like, can't believe the only thing I own is my house. You know what I'm saying? So, I just kind of, did some research on some companies here, and I invested in Just Love Coffee Cafe, which is philanthropic. The company gives back to the community, and it's adoption and foster care. So it's cool.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Titans and Giants All-Pro linebacker Keith Bulluck. So, Keith, let's get into the Titans, because going into the season, we've interviewed so many different analysts and even some of the writers for the Titans that thought that the Titans were a playoff contending team. Derrick Henry obviously starts off slow. He's starting to pick up his game. Tannehill has not been healthy. He has not been the same quarterback. And this offensive line is falling apart. Ever since A.J. Brown has been traded, this offense has not been as explosive as it was when he was there. What are your thoughts to the team really over the last couple of years and where this offense has really fallen off?
Yeah, I think obviously losing AJ was a big blow to the offensive production, and Tannehill having success that he was having. The offensive line has been, the last couple of years, has really been the reason that Tannehill hasn't been able to stay healthy, because he's getting banged up just about every game by the opposing defenses. I think that by them missing on Isaiah Wilson, I believe, or Washington, the lineman out of Georgia, that was huge. He was supposed to, fill a void as a first-round draft pick. Taylor Lewan recently, obviously didn't get signed back, and they're just trying to, fill in and fix that offensive line. Derrick Henry did a great job last year running behind that offensive line, and like you say, he's, I think when it comes to Derrick this year, it's kind of weird because he's in a contract year. They got Tajay Spears, who I think they need to, look, if you're not going to give Derrick the ball 25 times a game, find a way to do a dual backfield threat. I think Tajay Spears has showed that he can make plays. He has speed to break big runs and probably take it the distance. You already know what you're getting with Derrick Henry. And honestly, I used to hate having to go against, Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew, or Tiki Barber and Ron Dane, or Ahmad Bradshaw and, Brandon Jacobs. Just those, when you have 2 different running backs with different styles, man, it kind of makes it tough. But with Will Levis, I think that, look, he's young. A rookie, you don't know much as a rookie. You just go out there and let him hang for sure. You want to show that you belong. And he's had a good showing in the last 2 games. DeAndre Hopkins has been solid. Losing Kevin Byard hasn't really, shown the effects yet. I think that when they played the Falcons here, they, I don't think the Titans were going to lose that game. I don't think the Falcons were even that good of a team. But I think, now we're going to really see when they go to Tampa Bay, because, I don't know how good Pittsburgh is, but that Pittsburgh is going to play, between the tackles. They'll go toe-to-toe with you. And I think that really Pittsburgh just kind of bullied the Titans last Thursday night, playing more physical than the Titans played. So that's what I see so far in a nutshell. Maybe Will Levis can help them turn the corner, but I wasn't drinking the juice as far as, them being a playoff team this year for sure.
You mentioned Tiki Barber. I remember, I'm a Giants fan. I remember as a kid, one of the games that
he always has to mention that he's a
always. It's in a positive.
Always.
Hold on, it's in a positive light for Keith, because
I'm appreciating the City Field backdrop. I'm a Mets fan, unfortunately.
Nice. You're a Met fan?
No way.
I'm from New York.
There you go.
Wow.
So I wanted to mention it because the Giants, I remember I was a kid. I was coming back from my family in Long Island. We were listening to the game on the radio. The Giants were up 21-0 entering the third quarter against you guys. You guys came back and won 24 unanswered in the fourth quarter. And it was like, besides the Eagles miracle, like that was like the most painful game I remember as a Giants fan when I was a kid. So
I was a part of the Eagles miracle. That was crazy. That was the craziest game ever. Not ever, but I was a crazy game to be a part of.
So I wanted to ask about these Mike Vrabel rumors. The Patriots have been very interested in trying to get him. If they do get rid of Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, who signed a big contract with the Titans.
Bunch of idiots, by the way,
year.
the Patriots.
What are your thoughts on all that with the Titans?
Look, man, I think that makes plenty sense to me. I'm a football fan. I'm shooting straight. I think that makes plenty sense. I think Robert Kraft has the money to lure Mike Vrabel back to that area. Vrabel played there for, I believe, over 10 years. He's a mainstay in that. He just went into the Hall of Fame there. I don't know how many dream jobs there are, but that'd be pretty cool, if I were Mike Vrabel. But then again, I don't know Mike Vrabel like that on a personal level. He might want to, stay in Tennessee and build something and establish himself here. But look, I think that would be that makes sense to me. Just as much sense as it would make if Vrabel did that. Jim Schwartz coming here to be the head coach. You know what I'm saying?
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Titans and Giants All-Pro linebacker Keith Bulluck. Keith, you had a very good career. As everybody knows, you were an All-Pro linebacker. You were a Pro Bowl player. What was it like playing linebacker in the NFL? What was it like playing for the Titans and going to the Giants and doing what you did all those years?
It was pretty cool. I went to Syracuse as a safety, so I never had any intention on playing linebacker, let alone in the NFL. So when I got I didn't start till my third year. I got to the Titans. They were a very good team. They just went to the Super Bowl, lost by that yard, Kevin Dyson stretching out. So I understood my position, play special teams and situational football. But by my second year, I was ready to go. So I didn't start till my third year. And it was cool, man. It was really fun because that year we started the season 1-4. And then we finished the season, I believe, 11-5, went to the AFC Championship game, went to the playoffs the year before, the next year. And then rebuilding started. So I never even knew what rebuilding entailed. I just know I got paid. I got a new deal. You know what I'm saying? 36, however much it was. And then Javon Curse went to Philly, and Samari Rowe went to Baltimore, and the team just starts dissipating. Eddie George is in where'd he go? Dallas, and then retired, and then I was really the last one standing. And we just kind of, that was the rebuild. We got Vince Young, Pac-Man Jones. We got some young, the YPs, that's what I like to call them. We got some young punks in the building that could play some football. And we started to win, turn it around. Got Chris Johnson, Lindell White, Bo Scaife, a bunch of, Michael Roos, a bunch of guys that helped us go on that run when we were 13-3 and, crapped on the money against Baltimore at home.
I think that season, the two tackles, Ruse and Stewart, did not allow a single sack in the regular season too, which was really impressive.
Yeah, they were, and Dave Stewart doesn't get enough credit. Linemen don't get enough credit, but they're definitely two of the better, if not the best tackles that we've had in the Titans history. Obviously Brad Hopkins played for the Oilers. Munchak and Bruce, they played for the Oilers, but with the Titans, you got to put Stewart and Bruce up there for sure. Those were good teams. And then the year with the Giants, man, it's kind of interesting. First round pick, I never got hurt. I played 127 straight games, and then I took a step to the left and I blew out my ACL against the Dolphins. What was cool? Nothing was cool about that. What I was going to say is, after my career was over, what was cool is look, my career went full circle. You know what I mean? I went from a guy that look, I wasn't playing much as a rookie. Then I got in, and then I, All Pro, Pro Bowl, never left the field, 127 straight games, and then, I never been hurt. So now it's the life of somebody that's always going to rehab, giving looks on the look team, like all these different things to kind of help the team. So my time with the Giants was pretty cool. Being from New York, growing up 25 minutes away from Giant Stadium, it was kind of nostalgic going to camp in Albany. My best friends went to the University of Albany, so I used to spend a lot of time there coming from Syracuse. And then just like, honestly, it was like, okay, so this is what it's like playing in a big city in the NFL. I didn't really partake in much of the going out and stuff like that, but I did that in the off season. But yeah, man, it was fun. That was a great group of guys because I was at a time in my life where obviously, like I said, I just hurt my knee, and those guys, O.C. Umenyiora, Dave Tollison, Justin Tuck, those are a bunch of great dudes to be around, Michael Boley. And it kind of, it gave me I guess a sense of clarity that if I didn't play the next year, I was good because I kind of went through that 1 year, that process, and just all right, if I don't come back and play another year, I'm all right with that.
It's funny, Keith. I have a great story that just posted up, and I think you'd be very interested. I don't know if you'd be interested, but it is a funny one. Chad Johnson, as we know, Ocho Cinco, and Terrell Owens reminisce on 12 hours of 17 women orgies. I mean, who would write this story?
I mean, you know what? I actually saw that clip and good for them. And I'm sure a lot of us, men, women, former athletes have, some stories, but it's up to them and how they share their information. I'm good. I'm gonna just hold mine down.
You don't want to tell your wife about that.
Yeah. Hey, yo.
So I want to ask about that Titans defense. A lot of your teammates that were very dominant players. I saw your tweet earlier about Kyle Vanden Bosch. He was a good defensive end. You had Albert Hainsworth. You had Tulloch on your side at linebacker. Yeah. What were some of those guys like? And is there anyone that had a standout personality on that team?
Yeah, man. With those teams, definitely Kyle. He had a standout personality just because you wouldn't know his personality unless you knew him. You know what I mean? So I think he did a great job of being the intimidator of our defense because he'd wear those red contacts and he would just go. He would go and he would get everybody else going just by his work ethic and what he brought to the team. He went through 2 ACL surgeries, over there in Arizona before we got him. And I was like, who is this guy? I didn't know anything about him, but it didn't take long before he got out there and started kicking ass in practice and, had a motor like no other, as well as skill to go along with it. So it was fun playing with him. And Stephen Tulloch, I love playing with him because he was a young, hungry linebacker. They used to try and put everybody out on the field besides Tully, and I didn't understand why. But once he got out there, anytime he was out there, he was making things happen. And what I like most about Tully is him going on and establishing himself in Detroit and the other teams, Detroit and Philadelphia, as his career went on and going on to be a good player. But yeah, we had Michael Griffin, like you said, Hainsworth. I think Albert should have stayed with Tennessee because when he went to DC, he was asked to do something that he wasn't asked to do here. You know what I'm saying? So in all fairness to him, I just feel like he got a lot of bread. I mean, look, if they break the bank like that, you might want to do kind of what they ask. But that's why he's a tyrant because, he's just kind of not going for the BS.
I wonder if he lost any weight.
Albert definitely has lost weight. Albert, he's doing good, man. He lives here in Nashville. I see him about every other week, a week. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely lost some weight, keeps the weight down. I got to say, a lot of the guys, and we just had alumni weekend a couple weeks ago. Amy Adams Strunk does a great job every year to host an alumni weekend here in Nashville. And a lot of guys look good. There wasn't too many fatties.
We are talking to former Titans and Giants all-pro linebacker Keith Bulluck. You know, Keith, we've had a lot of ex-NFL players on this show, and even NFL players that are still in the league. And we have brought up the CTE situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of the players have said that the NFL has not looked after them after they retired. And it's a shame. I think that I'm not blaming this all on Roger Goodell. I'm blaming the whole league as a whole and ownership and all that other stuff. But you should the league has all these superstars, all these guys that put their bodies on the line, and now they retire. They have no full benefits. They have no benefits that could protect, surgeries and stuff like that, head trauma, all these different things. Are you upset the way the NFL has handled this?
I wouldn't say that it upsets me. I feel like they could do a better job. I feel like I said, okay, I did good and took care of my money, but had I not, what about the guys that weren't fortunate to make millions and millions? You know what I'm saying? And, for us to put our bodies on the line the way we did, and not to have full lifetime benefits for our health, you don't really feel what's wrong with you after playing 10 years until usually 5 to 10 years down the line when your body calms down, and then by then, the health insurance that you do have, I think it's for 5 years until you retire. I mean, after you retire, by then it's all worn, it's up, and you got to figure that out. So now the compound on the CTE, and the league makes billions and billions every year. There's money that is really allotted to the players, but we have to jump through hoops to get it. Maybe you have to go through Social Security, however you get it. And one of the things that's crazy is when you retire, there's no packet okay, here's what you do when you retire. You just retire and it's over. And if you've been going to the same team doctors and all these things for however many years you're playing, what do you know when you get out? You understand what I'm saying? So I feel a lot of guys have definitely missed out on benefits that they were entitled to, but just no one from the teams or the league really told them about it, and it's kind of messed up. But I think that a lot of former players, we do a good job of talking to one another and kind of try and help the younger guys out when they come out and tell them about the different benefits that they can get, and the money that's really their money that the league's not telling you about, but you have to, take about several different steps in order to get that.
So one of the other big things that's hurt a lot of players is the turf. We've seen a lot of players are advocating for grass now. Obviously, a lot of the non-contact injuries. So where did you stand on that as a player? Do you have a preference on the turf versus the grass?
I really didn't, man. Playing at Syracuse, I would always rather play on grass, but look, I played in the old vet. That was terrible, turf. Like I said, I played at Syracuse, so for me, I was really indifferent, but I always preferred a grass surface. But shoot, I blew my knee out on a grass surface, and it really didn't matter. I would have got hurt on grass or turf that day. It just is what it is.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Titans and Giants all-pro linebacker Keith Bulluck. Keith, when you look at the league as a whole, since you have played, and now the growth of some of these young quarterbacks, when you played, you had Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Now you have the youngsters like Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and all those great young quarterbacks. What has stood out to you from when you played and now these days with the quarterbacks that are playing now in the 2023 season?
It seems like a lot of them are ready to go. They run these RPO pro style offenses in college, so they come to the league with more knowledge than a lot other rookies. And even the ones that have to sit a year or two, it just seems like they're ready to go. And they're burning up the passing charts. Playing in these 7-on-7 leagues probably since they were teenagers. Learning, from good quarterback coaches and so on and so forth, taking the time and putting it into their game. And, I feel like a lot of them understand, like, you got to get the ball out of your hands,
Except Zach Wilson, of course. And we just lost him. I just threw him a curveball. There he is. He's back again. There he is. Keith, you hear us?
Is that mine?
There you are.
Yeah, you flickered in and out.
You flickered in and out. There you go.
All right, cool.
But I just want to let you know, you were mentioning quarterbacks, but Zach Wilson. Every single quarterback, everything that you've said, absolutely true, except Zach Wilson, just so you know. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't figure. I'm like Salah. Like, I can't figure it out. You know what I mean? If the head coach says he's gonna plead the fifth on why he's starting his quarterback, I mean, golly, like, that's not giving the kid much confidence on top of the confidence he probably didn't have already. So
he sucks. Keith, stop. I mean, Robert.
Hey,
Salah,
but that's what I'm saying. So for me, it's like, who's evaluating these guys? Like, whoever told the Jets to draft Zach Wilson needs to get fired right along with Zach Wilson. Like, he don't need to go recruit or draft. He don't need to be in the draft room this year. Like, that's how bad that guy is. And I'm not talking about Zach Wilson. I'm talking about the scout who went and said, "Oh, we need to get this guy with our first pick." Come on, man.
Maybe Adam Gase came in as an imposter after he got fired
that year.
It was Robert Salah.
They passed on. It was
Mike LaFleur.
It was you're talking about for quarterbacks or for the offensive coordinators?
No, for quarterbacks.
It was Trey Lance, Mac Jones.
No, it was Trevor Lawrence, number one, and then Zach Wilson went number two. Yeah. So it was Justin Fields that they passed up.
Oh, wow. They could have got Justin Herbert.
Justin
Fields.
That quarterback
Justin
class
Fields
wasn't
way better
that
than
good.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, that quarterback class wasn't that good.
Errol said he was going to take Tommy DeVito over Zach Wilson yesterday.
100%. I would take anybody. I would take a Pee-wee football player over Zach Wilson right now. He's horrific.
Are you a Jets fan?
I'm a diehard Jet fan.
Wow, that sucks.
We have Keith going in and out. We got Chris Childs going out. What are we playing, like Peekaboo or something like that?
Maybe Zach Wilson is trying to hack our feed somehow.
I don't know. Maybe the Jets are doing it.
I don't know. I'm still going with the imposter Adam Gase theory at the moment.
Oh, man. It is crazy. It really is. And we're trying to get Keith back in here. I don't know what's going on. We lost. Maybe it's something with us. So we lost Chris Childs. We lost Keith Bulluck. I mean, it's interesting. It definitely is. But hopefully we can get Keith. I want to ask him one more question before we let him go. And then we'll have Chris Childs join us in just a few moments. But, yeah, I mean, Zach Wilson, he even admitted Zach Wilson's horrible. He's absolutely horrible. But, yeah.
And whoever the scouting is horrible, too.
Yep. There he goes. He'll probably pop right back in. But it's crazy when you have an ex-NFL player saying that who was the one that drafted him, and you're trying to figure out which one. It was Robert Salah. It was Robert Salah, Mike LaFleur, and Joe Douglas that drafted Zach Wilson. There is no excuse whatsoever for the New York Jets. But Keith, before we let you go, man, because I know you're a busy guy. You got your coffee shop.
You're still talking about the Jets. I don't
want to talk about the Jets. Well, hold on one second. You grew up in New York. Were you a Jets or Giants fan?
I kind of was neither, but like the Giants were good. Like, so I'm like 46, so the Giants were winning their Super Bowls in the 80s and 90s. But I do remember, man, like all my friends that were Jets fans, they would always come to school on Monday. Like, their feelings were hurt, bro.
Thank you, Keith.
I remember that.
You know,
but that was the Al Toon, Freeman McNeil, Ken O'Brien, Mark Gastineau, Joe. Like, I watched the Jets because they're gonna be on at the 4:00 game. So, you know.
Well, I interviewed a lot of those guys, and they're all very, very nice. But as a young man that watched that football team, I wanted to hurl. Okay, so thank you for ruining my night thinking about those Jets.
You're good, bro.
But I love you, Keith. We do. We love you. We'd love to get you back on the show again. But before we let you go, I have one question for you. Who was the hardest quarterback to play against in your career?
I would have to say Peyton Manning, just because we played them 2 times a year. You know, it's one of those things, okay, you know what they're going to do. He knows what we're going to do. We'll change some things up. They may change some things up, but he's really, really smart. Just knowing, like I say, where to go with the ball, when, not to hold on to the ball. He'll notice, like when he was just the little details of the game he was very into. Like he knew everything, like when a blitz was coming or when it wasn't coming, like you could tell. It was just very fun to play against. He raises the level of your play as well, going against him 2 times a year. So I really appreciated playing him because, it's one of the many challenges that come with playing in the NFL.
Well, I just want to let you know, and I have one more question before I do let you go fully. What is harder, playing football or raising 3 girls?
Probably playing football, man. Like these kids are sheltered, man. They ain't got nothing going on right now. You know what I'm saying?
How old are your daughters? How old are your daughters?
I'm saying 15, 13, and 10. So you got to ask me that question in about 3-4 years.
That's when you're going to have a baseball bat behind your door, ready to bat somebody out of there.
Guns are legal in Tennessee, so.
Well, you're from New York. Hopefully you don't shoot yourself in the leg.
Nah, no cheddar Bob over here.
Keith, we really appreciate you joining us, and we would love to get you on again. Keep up the good work.
Let's do it.
Good luck.
Hey, you know how to reach me, man. Let's do it. You guys have continued success. It was fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Keith. Keith Bulluck, ladies and gentlemen, former Titan and Giants all-pro linebacker. A baby. Well, he has 3 daughters, 10. Hold on. 10, 15. What was the other one? 12? 13. Oh, so it was like almost a 3-year span. You waited like 2-3 years right there.
Yeah.
Keep it working, man. Keep it working.
It's just how it shot,
Well, you're not shooting blanks, that's for sure.
Hey, you know that. Maybe now.
Oh, man.
All right, dude. Y'all have a good one, man. Peace.
Keith Bulluck. He doesn't shoot blanks, as we know. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to our friend for the second time on our show, former Nets, Knicks, and Raptors point guard Chris Childs, here on the Sports Loudmouth.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouth.
Look at Speedy try to hop and dance. Look at him. He doesn't have much rhythm, I can tell you that. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. You are listening to the Sports Loudmouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week and the local listings. All you have to do is check out the Loudmouth every single Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. And if you don't like this show, I don't know why you wouldn't like this show, but if you don't, There are a couple other shows on our network. All you have to do is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. It is an all-star show. We had former Titans and Giants All-Pro linebacker, and now our friend, he's been on the show before. Very happy to have him on. He told us so many great stories, and maybe he spoke to John Morant. Maybe. We are now talking to former Nets, Knicks, and Raptors point guard, Chris Childs. Chris, what's up?
Yo, what's up, fellas? How's everything?
You look good, man.
Hey, I'm trying, man. I got to get in shape. I might be able to get a 10-day with the Knicks.
Oh, they probably. I mean, well, the Knicks are playing pretty good basketball right now. I mean, do you have any more kids that got married?
No, not that I know of.
Well, you didn't shoot blanks either.
No, I did not.
Oh, man.
I had a lot of Michael Phelps.
Oh, he's probably, sharing the bong with you every single day now.
Yeah, I don't partake like that, but I enjoy it.
Oh,
it's legal now.
That's true. It is. It's legal here in New York. There's no doubt about that. Chris, we haven't had you on the show for a little while. It's been a couple of months, and we were speaking about John Morant, and John Morant got suspended for 25 games, and you spoke very highly of the kid and the mistakes that he's made, and did you ever reach out to the Memphis Grizzlies on speaking to John Morant?
I did not, but I did speak to someone that works closely with him, one of my ex-agents. We didn't get a chance to set anything up as far as a one-on-one conversation, but hopefully he has people in his corner that can guide him the right way, because I don't know how many more chances he'll be able to get and get a 25. He's lucky to get a 25-game suspension because there's been guys that have done a lot worse that got suspended for the whole season. So we can just only pray that he gets the right guidance. I know he probably misses a game. You don't want to sit out 1 or 2 games, let alone 25. So I wish him the best.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about John Morant, the five different instances he had. There was a couple more since then. There was also the wrongful convictions. I think last time we had you on the show with the whole police department thing kind of thing too. Like, what do you think is going to have to be the next step for him, both long-term and short-term in the immediate year for the Grizzlies?
Well, you have to shorten your circle of people that you're around. Usually when you come out, you start making a lot of money. You got a lot of hanger-ons, guys that you feel that you're obligated to support them, bring them along, let them be a part of your being a celebrity and whatnot. So you have to shorten your circle of people, because a lot of times those guys are envious of you, even though they're hanging around you. You're able to, get things that they've never ever dreamed of getting. So you can't worry about pride and your ego or trying to keep it real. What you're trying to do is survive and provide for your family and live a life that God has put in front of you. And that can be easily taken away because you want to try to live a certain lifestyle and portray a certain image, when all he has to do is play basketball and he's the face of the league.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Nets, Knicks, and Raptors point guard Chris Childs. There's a kid that everybody was blowing up. He was drafted. He was the #1 pick. Everybody said he's the greatest prospect in NBA history, Victor Wembanyama. I saw him against the Knicks yesterday. He didn't have such a great game. His first half, he only had 2 points. What has stood out to you so far watching this kid?
Well, just that he's very fluid, shoots the ball extremely well. When you're coming into the league and you're coming from Europe or even here in the States, it takes a time to become a pro. You have to be a pro at what you eat. You have to be a pro with your workout. You have to be a pro. For me, the main thing is studying, watching film and understanding how can I score? How can I get my points? How I'm going to be most effective for my teammates. So all these things he has to learn on the fly, because he was drafted #1. They expect a lot of things out of him, but he's playing for a coach that understands that and is going to be patient with him. I think he's probably 3 years away. He has to get a little more weight on him, He has to play a full season, understand if he can stay injury-free. You know, if he unfortunately gets injured, then that's another mental hurdle that he has to get over. So we pray that that doesn't occur. But he's about three years away from understanding how to be a professional.
So the point guard position has become a lot more of an athleticism-oriented position. You have to still be able to shoot, but we're not seeing as many like Chris Paul types anymore as when you played in the league and even previous eras. Do you think the game is changing more to more like wings that could handle the ball more, or like you said, bigger point guards like what obviously Wemby is, but even more?
Yeah, I saw a game the other day. I think it was Indiana versus somebody. It was 150 to 120. I mean, it was like an all-star game, so there's no defense being played. You have bigger guards. They want to score, push the ball up the floor, play interchangeable positions. So the game is, you know, it's going to evolve no matter what. But we missed that point guard that, you know, runs a team, is not looking to do all the scoring, but he's able to distribute and run a ball club. But, you know, that's what the fans want, to see people get up and down, a lot of scoring. But then that all changes once it gets to the playoffs.
Chris, there's a lot of players that run amok in the NBA. And we all know about Kyrie Irving, but this year, this offseason, it's been James Harden. And why not two halves of the NBA's Brooklyn Nets, or former Brooklyn Nets, has caused trouble on and off the court. Now, he goes over there, he goes to Houston, he hangs out at strip bars, he hangs out doing all this stuff, doesn't show up to preseason games, doesn't show up to practices, and then demands to be traded when he does show up before the season started. Are you one of those players that respect players like this, that don't show up for the team and it's all about himself as a player?
That's a tricky question. It's a good setup. You must have been a point guard yourself. So,
I was.
I like the setup. Let me be careful of what I say about this, because I don't want to come across as, you know, older player that doesn't appreciate the younger guys and their decisions. But like I said, you get paid to play. A lot of guys will play this game for free, but we've been fortunate enough to make it to the highest level. And the fans want to see you. The owners pay you a lot of money to come out there and play the game of basketball. Now, I can't get inside of James Harden's head. My son knows him better than I do, because he coached his team, he's trained him, so he knows his mentality. But the one thing I do know is that you lose a lot of respect by the decisions that you make. So you'd rather go to a strip club than come to practice. You'd rather leave us out there busting our behind and you're at home relaxing. Now, I know there was a difference with the owner and the GM and James, but it should be about your teammates first. We understand the business side of it, that he has to, you know, do what's best for his future. But these guys are making $150, $200 million a year. What are you worried about? You know, you're going to get your money, but all you're doing is neglecting the guys that come to practice every day, come to training camp in shape and give their all. And at the end of the day, you're there to try to win a championship. I don't know him that well, so I don't know if that's the most important thing in his life. But I hope that he finds a way to get back to the player he was when he was at Houston, get back dedicated, because he's unbelievable talent. But a lot of these guys have that mentality of me mentality, that it's all about me and it's not about team no more. So that's the way the league is going right now, and it's unfortunate because the younger people look up to the ones that go out there and do their job every day.
And James Harden gets traded to the Clippers for practically nothing, a bag of marbles. And he goes and plays with his buddy Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. Do you think this is a championship contending team with all these former All-Stars?
Absolutely not.
I love you, Chris.
Absolutely not. You might as well throw some jacks out there and some marbles and just tell them to go play marbles in the sandbox. No. I mean, all four of them, they're unbelievable talents. But as you guys know, you watch games for years. It's not about the most talented team. It's about the most cohesive team that plays unselfish. It's not enough balls for those guys. I don't think any of those guys are going to, because I've watched a little bit of the game, and I've seen James Harden with the ball, dribble, and Kawhi Leonard is standing in the corner for 15 seconds of the shot clock. That's not Kawhi's game to catch the ball. If they double team James, him with 3 seconds left on the clock, and now he has to make a shot. That's not his game. So I just don't see it working. They might get past the first round, but I don't think they'll get any further than that.
There's only one guy on that team that has a set of balls, and the other three don't. That's Kawhi Leonard, because he actually knows how to win. The other three couldn't get over the hump if you actually paid them. Well, actually, they are getting paid.
Oh,
Millions and millions of dollars.
They're getting paid $46 million a year. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Russell Westbrook's not getting paid much.
They can bounce each other's balls.
That's another topic. I don't want no parts of the ball.
I don't either, but sometimes I get roped into it anyway.
Oh well, you gotta accept it because you guys are together all the time, so you might know more about it than me.
Unfortunately, I do, and I don't want to have to remember all the instances where balls were brought into it.
Make sure you clarify it and put either base in front of it or basket or foot in front of ball. Please.
They're not deflated balls like Tom Brady.
Oh Lord have mercy.
No, I would hope it's not that either, but
you can't talk about the GOAT like that, yeah.
I don't know. It took a while for Errol to accept that it was the GOAT either. I think he finally when he wanted Tampa was like, oh, he's finally better than Peyton Manning.
He's not the greatest. Joe Montana.
Well, hey, I'm a Joe Montana fan, but you can't take away what Brady did. And once he went to Tampa and won, he's the GOAT. I love Joe Montana. I grew up in California watching him and Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Roger Craig. I love that team, but Tom Brady is the GOAT as far as quarterbacks. The best football player ever is Lawrence Taylor.
Well, listen to him, man. Maybe you should do a radio show with us, man. We can do our arguing of football. First of all, my friend, and I will agree with you that Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls and he helped Tampa win a Super Bowl, and that's great. That doesn't make him the GOAT. It takes a team to win a Super Bowl, my friend. And if you look at Tom Brady's career in the Super Bowl, even though he won, I think 4 MVPs, he only deserved 2 of them, okay? Because if you look at his Super Bowl career, it's not very good. He always had a very good defense. He always had a very good running game, and his offensive line did enough to protect him. So, and he has one of the greatest coaches of all time. So that
coach doesn't play.
Yeah, but the coach calls the plays, does he not?
The coach sits there and he has an offensive coordinator. He has a defensive coordinator. They come up with a game plan and the coach gets all the practice. The coach only coaches in practice. They really don't coach in a game, especially in the NBA. The coaches, they coach during practice.
Different than the NBA, my friends. Football.
No, it is. But all right, so Tom Brady won 6.
Okay.
Right? Michael Jordan won 6.
Yep.
The reason Michael Jordan is the GOAT over LeBron is because he has 6 rings. And he's never lost the finals, correct?
Yes. He never went to a game 7 in the finals.
Right, in the game 7. Tom Brady, he lost a couple, but he has 6 rings. 6. So that doesn't make him the GOAT?
Absolutely not. Championships don't make you the GOAT. I am sorry. That's just
yes, they do. Now, winning and all that other stuff gets you into the Hall of Fame, but have the title GOAT, you got to win championships.
Listen, I'm the GOAT. Okay, I go. I am the GOAT. Okay, maybe not the GOAT. You're not the greatest of all time. And first of all, the greatest of all time is LL Cool J. He's the one who created the name, so he is the GOAT. Okay.
So he's far from the GOAT.
I know. Stop it, Chris. I know you're going to hear everything I say.
You and your GOAT balls.
was,
he went back to that.
hey, listen, listen. I don't want to think about a goat's balls, but if it's good and it's edible, I might eat it. So there you go.
You the one make the goat noise. So hey.
I don't think you want either of us to try to attempt to do that.
I'm not.
We weren't going to force you to do it.
Spaghetti and goat balls.
And he's now taking it to another weird level. So before we get more involved with conversations about that,
I'm no longer hungry.
Yeah, you may see now you made Chris lose his appetite.
Good, I'll mail you a couple of goat balls.
Oh, God. All right, back to some point guards. Another one that had an interesting offseason was Damian Lillard, whose agent came out and said he only wants to play for the Miami Heat, and then he ends up getting traded a couple months later to the Milwaukee Bucks. Very unique saga, but Damian Lillard, unlike a lot of these other players we were just talking about, did stay with his team for over a decade. So what were your thoughts with the whole Damian Lillard saga, how that went down?
I knew it was time. It's been time, probably 3 years past due. He's been wanting to get out of there. Like I said, my son would have more insight because my son trained Dame. I mean, going to Milwaukee is going to be a great move. He's a closer. He's somebody to take a lot of pressure off for the Greek Freak. But the key to that team is if Middleton can stay healthy. If he's healthy, then they have an opportunity to be real good because they lost, True Holiday. I think they brought in another shooter. I forget the kid's name out of Creighton. Didn't he go there?
Oh, McDermott, you're talking about? Doug McDermott?
Yeah, did McDermott go to Milwaukee?
I think he went somewhere else. They
went to Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana. Let's see, Doug McDermott. Yeah. He's now with the Spurs, actually. So he went to go play with Wemby.
Yeah, I thought they got another shooter, but it's going to make it interesting with Dame on that team because he brings a different dimension than True when he was there. But True was a defensive stopper, so I don't know. I guess they're going to give up some of that defensive ability for offensive ability to close games. So it's a wait and see. It's early in the season. We'll see if they don't, as long as they don't get frustrated with each other, taking, Dame like to take 35, 40 footers. So we'll see how that pans out.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Nets, Knicks, and Raptors point guard Chris Childs. LeBron James, obviously, after the season, after he got eliminated, Denver knocks him out, and he speaks about retirement. Then he goes on the ESPY Awards and says, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not retiring. I don't plan to retire anytime soon." And then you go into the season, Denver looks like the team to beat, and LeBron James came out recently and said that don't count the Lakers out. We expect to be a contender this year. Do you think the Lakers are a contender with the team that they have?
Any team with LeBron on is a contender. Coming out of the West, I think they have an opportunity. It depends on Anthony Davis. If he's going to show up for 70 games, hopefully, they can position themselves to have a good seeding. But I'm not sold on them. I think Denver's going to repeat. Jokic is just too good. His basketball IQ is phenomenal, and he's so unselfish. I've never seen a guy that could really go out and get 40 on any night because he's that skilled down low, but he only wants to win. They play the game the right way. And that's the difference. When you're playing the game the right way, you're passing to the open man. If you open, shoot it. If you're not, pass it, cut. They play the game the right way, and I enjoy watching them. I can't watch a whole game of a lot of teams that play, but I enjoy watching them particularly play is because the way they play the game. If you watch like a Minnesota team, I'm like, who put this team together? Who thought it was a smart idea to have 2 7-footers that are slow-footed? They don't play. I don't know how Gobert was Defensive Player of the Year because of his blocks. He's always out of position. His teammates are always covering for him because if he, all you have to do is run pick and roll basketball. he stays in the paint like Chief from One Flew of the Cuckoo's Nest with his hands up in there. So I mean, Denver is the team that I enjoy watching, so I think they're going to repeat.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert, maybe the only reason he's Defensive Player of the Year is because he packs a punch. He just uses it on his teammates instead.
Maybe he's from France. He's popping some goat balls. You know?
Oh God! Somehow brought it back to that.
Hey, it's something wrong with him right now. I don't know. You keep bringing up that that goat.
I mean, have you ever been to France? Have you ever seen some of the stuff that they eat over there?
It was a long time ago, but they do. I know they eat escargot, certain things of that nature. But I'm not a guy that will go over there for the cuisine. The wine, maybe the wine, but not the cuisine.
Yeah, if I were to ever go to him and go with him in a spot where he's going to eat goat balls, I'm going to need a lot to drink too.
Exactly.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Nets, Knicks, and Raptors point guard Chris Childs. Chris, the New York Knicks, there's a lot of stories coming out that Joel Embiid is a high-profile guy. If he becomes available, if the 76ers are looking to trade him, he would be the number one guy for the Knicks. Then you've heard Karl Anthony Towns' name being called out, the Cat, because Leon Rose was his former agent, that he could be another guy the Knicks could go after. Then we've heard, and I've brought up Devin Booker. If somehow Phoenix falls out or they're not as good with Bradley Beal and they're not as good with Kevin Durant, or it doesn't work over there. Bradley Beal has a no trade clause. Kevin Durant is now going to be 35, 36. He's an old man. To me, Devin Booker is the best prospecting player that they have right there that they can move. And the Knicks need a wing shooter. Who do you want if you can go after any one of those three?
I think it would be Joel Embiid. You need a big man that can come in and post up. You already got. Just imagine him and Brunson in the pick and roll. It'd be unstoppable. Pick your poison. I mean, Booker would be a great pickup, but I like the shooter that we have. What's his name? Grimes.
Mm-hmm.
I like that young player. I think he has an opportunity to be good. He reminds me of Allen Houston a little bit, the way he shoots the ball. But out of those three, it'd definitely be Joel Embiid.
Interesting.
So there's been stories coming out over the summer that, about James Dolan saying, "Oh, I don't like to sell sports. I don't like to be the owner of sports teams." And we heard a rumor maybe a year ago as well that he's going to sell the Knicks at some point once he's done with Vegas. So what do you think about that story? And what was your connection like with James Dolan when you were with him?
None whatsoever. No connection.
That might be a good thing.
I don't know. That just makes me chuckle. He's always had his footprint on the organization.
Does he ever?
No matter what, in publicly or quietly or behind the scenes. When I was there, it was mainly with his dad that I had a relationship with. Towards the end, before I got traded, we might have spoke maybe a couple of times at a Christmas party or whatever, but I've never had a conversation longer than maybe 30 seconds with him. I'm not going to get into bashing him or saying negative things because I'm beyond that. Everybody.
Don't worry, we do that a lot on this show. So
yeah, everybody knows what needs to be done. I'm going to just continue to support the team that they try to build. I like the talent, but the change has to start from the top to be able to get free agents that's going to help the team. And sooner or later, they're going to have to make a decision, whether it's the board or the league, because New York is the Mecca. I want them to win. I want them to be successful. Even though the excitement is back in the arena, it's still missing something. Yeah, of course, it's a championship, but it's still missing that when teams come to the Garden, they're petrified and scared. Get back to the old ways of playing and protecting your home court. But, that was old school basketball. You can't do that now because it's a flagrant foul if you breathe on somebody. So they have to find another way to excite the fans.
I'll tell you how you excite the fans, just like the Kansas City Chiefs. One of your guys dates Taylor Swift. That excites the fans. We could all be Swifties here in New York.
And then she'll see Julius Randle and say, "Nah, I'm good."
That might work, but I don't know. I don't know if any of the guys on that team have the charisma that Kelsey has.
Well, that's true. I mean, she is a season ticket holder for the Knicks, so she's always there. And Travis Kelce's been caught watching a Knick game too. Maybe he's going to become a Knick fan like her. I don't think they're going to end up together. So I think this is all, publicity. Just like Kim Kardashian and Pete. I didn't think that was going to go that long either. Pete gets a tattoo on his chest, then he gets it eliminated, then he's dating this girl, that girl. Before you know it, he's caught in the closet.
Just keep all the Kardashians away from the Knicks. We'll continue to mock Ben Simmons for that.
Yeah, everybody that goes in that house comes out crazy.
Ben Simmons just might be crazy anyway, but still.
Hey, listen, they're smart business women. I mean, they're billionaires.
Oh, absolutely. They have good people behind them, but I like my sanity.
Well, they have, fake butts and fake boobs. And when you have those, I mean, that stands out for billions.
Goat balls.
And goat balls. They probably eat those
had
too.
to bring that back again. Come on, Chris. I thought you were better than that. You don't need to instigate him more.
I know. I just like the laugh.
So you're just going to trigger him just for the laughs.
Exactly.
If mocking the Brooklyn Nets wasn't enough, and Ben Simmons and all these other guys, James Harden that we've been mocking, you had to bring back the goat balls.
Simmons is still with the Nets?
Yes, he is, because he might have the worst contract in the NBA, and nobody wants him.
So he's making what, 25 a year?
More than that. It's like 37 or something like that.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They're getting really robbed.
I was born too soon.
Don't worry, maybe time travel does exist, and we could get you back into the game. I'm sure the Nets would definitely take you back over Ben Simmons.
100%. I mean, you and Spencer Dinwiddie in the backcourt. Anyways, Chris, we love you, man. Keep up the good work. We'll get you on again. Yes, I will make sure I donate money to your organization. By the way, why don't you give some information on how people could donate money to your organization?
All it is I'm still doing the mentorship with the young people, feeding the homeless, getting ready to start doing something with prison reform, with the government. I'm just putting my hands in a lot of different things, and most of the money that is donated is to feed the homeless project. So you can either do it through PayPal at goldenchilds@gmail.com or Cash App at $1childs. Any and everything helps, especially during the wintertime where we need to get these people's blankets, soap, towels, ponchos, gloves, shoes, all those different things. That's what the money goes towards. And it's something that my dad and I started when he was alive, and I'm trying to keep it going. So any support is helpful. God has allowed people in my life that
Speedy, 50
reached
bucks.
out.
$50?
Yeah.
I sent him that last week, $50.
All right,
on the PayPal.
$50. Let's all put some money in. Let's put all the people out there, and we're gonna promote this on 103.9 FM after the Islander game. We have all the Islander fans listening to the show on Saturday night, and we will promote it, and we will make sure that we promote it for the next couple of weeks to help you and your organization out. We really appreciate everything that you do, my friends, and we'll get you on soon.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Stay blessed and be safe.
And remember, stay away from those goat balls.
Oh, God.
Please do. Please do.
I'm trying my best.
See you guys. Salute.
Chris Childs, man. I love him.
Sir.
I love him. I mean,
have a good one, guys.
He's fantastic. Am I right? We had Keith Bulluck. We had Chris Childs. Funny guys, both of them, very, very good guys, and had a very good time with all of them. And we had some laughs and entertainment, and probably think I'm nuts, but that's fine. That's what this show is all about.
I hope I don't have nightmares about goat balls.
Why? You don't want to go to Applebee's and have some goat balls?
No, I do not. I would not order goat balls at any restaurant.
I don't know. Maybe Jeff will.
Yeah, maybe Jeff will. Who knows?
I mean, Jeff likes goat balls. I mean, he wasn't ready to eat dog crap, but he said he was willing to do it. He was.
Yeah.
He says he's eaten other disgusting things in his life. Doggy doodle wouldn't really affect him. So maybe goat balls not cooked wouldn't affect him either.
Who knows?
I mean, if you cook the goat balls, will you actually know it's goat balls? I mean, serious.
Will I actually care if it's goat balls?
You wouldn't even know. Maybe it's tasty. Maybe it has a little tang to it.
Okay, I'll let somebody else.
I mean, you like dark sausages, right?
I do. Not attached to anything else.
But you do like you like dark sausages, right?
Yes, I do.
Spicy ones, right?
Yes, I
but
do.
Why don't you like the white sausage?
I am not eating anything off of a goat. And there.
But why? What is the difference between a dark sausage and a white sausage? Why don't you like the white sausage as much as the dark?
It's mild. It's not as flavorful.
It's not flavorful.
It's not as flavorful.
But what gives you that tangy taste that makes you?
I didn't say tangy. Like, you're not gonna.
I mean,
tangy.
what is it about that dark sausage that you like?
It's a stronger flavor. It's
stronger flavor.
Spicier. I think those other sausages they're more Italian sausages used for pasta and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just a weaker flavor.
You don't like Italian sausages?
Not as much. I'm not saying I dislike them. I'm just saying I don't like it as much.
Have you ever had a Haitian sausage?
I have not. It's surprising because my uncle, that family lives in Patchogue. They have Haitian heritage, but I've actually never had a Haitian sausage.
Oh, so you have Haitian heritage in you?
No, not my family. It's my uncle. So it's not my dad's immediate family, but it's.
Have you ever had a Japanese sausage?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I've not.
They're very small.
Maybe
very small.
Maybe next time.
Tiny.
Next time we go to that place
miniature
that we went to for
sausages.
Brittany's birthday, maybe they have something like that.
There you go. I mean, we can ask them if they have miniature.
I
sausages.
didn't see anything like that, but who knows?
Hey, listen,
it's a pretty big menu.
I mean, it could be bland. So
could be.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, great show. Thank you to Keith Bulluck for joining us. He was fantastic. Ex-Titan and Giants all-pro linebacker. He's fantastic. He really, first time on our show. Chris Childs for a second time on our show. He is wonderful. He always gives us such a great content. I'm all over the place today. I don't know what's going on with
You're getting distracted by that things on goats.
I didn't. Wait a second. You just said you didn't want to hear it anymore, and I said
things on goats. I didn't say the term.
But you were talking about goat balls.
And
did you not?
Back again.
Yeah, but you brought it up,
and I'm blaming that for distracting you.
There's a lot of things that distract me. I mean, you and your sausages and all that other stuff. It's definitely distracting. Anyways, thank you to all the fans. We will be back on Wednesday at 7:00. Tune in every single week on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. as me and Speedy Petey give you our thoughts and what's going on in sports and goat balls. Tune in every single week. And if you have missed us a little bit too long and you have to wait until Wednesday, you should be listening to the Weekend Crunch, which airs every single Saturday. And it will be after the Islander game this week, again, at 10:30. But you can hear our Islander pregame show at 6:40. I think it was 6:30, 6:35. We'll be doing a 20-minute pregame show, and then we'll go right into the Islander game. And right after the Islander game, you'll be hearing the Weekend Crunch with me and Speedy P. So tune in every single week on our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Good night, everybody.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
This is Mario.